Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, the world's biggest Harry Kane fan. And today we bring you the preview for the big match tomorrow at noon. Less than 72 hours since the North London Derby, which in my eyes is a disgrace. I mean, look, we all got the Premier League to thank for that. Once again, screw Tottenham over. I'm not surprised. And just for that alone, I think we deserve top four. And this game is just as big, if not bigger, than the North London Derby, in my opinion. But look, as always, we like to see how the co-host and the guests are doing. We will be joined by Sean shortly, and then we will check in on the chat and see who we've got with us as well. Jack, how are you keeping, my man? Life good?
Yeah, life is good, Dave. I must be honest, the FA Cup, was kind of a bit of a waste of time. It wasn't, nobody seemed to want to score. They wanted to just drag us through, the whole afternoon, over here, Dave. And then also, I didn't really care who won. I didn't really want either to win. If actually both had gotten disqualified, that probably would have been the best outcome for me had something happen. Maybe both get disqualified for asthma situation that we've been hearing about. But once I found out, though, Dave, that Chelsea have actually bottled 3 consecutive FA Cup finals in a row, and that's never been done in history. That actually did brighten my day at least a little bit, Dave. So that's how I'm feeling my mouth.
Do you know what? For me, I was a bit torn. I mean, it's the lesser of two evils for me. Hate Chelsea, hate Liverpool. I mean, for me, I didn't want
But once you find that out, it's a bit better.
I would have rather a streaker ran across the pitch and refused to move, or someone, cable tied themselves to the nets again or something like that. Get the game called off. But look, James, how are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on, and always a pleasure to be here. I reflect what Jack's saying. That FA Cup final, I feel like I've wasted two hours and a half of my time. I honestly feel like I could have done anything. I'd have rather done some DIY or something that I can't do. At least I'd have learned something. I mean, it was absolute dross. Mason Mount's now lost 6 Wembley finals in a row. Mason Mount, more like Mason Nout, because he hasn't got any trophies. He's got the Champions League, so can't really go too far on that one. But listen, it was absolutely boring. I'm still absolutely buzzing from Thursday. I was there. It was absolutely ridiculous. And best atmosphere I've ever been at.
I was speaking to Ben. I was about to ask you that. And I was speaking to Benji from We Are Tottenham TV. He says, look, Dave, best atmosphere. He says, look, the West Ham one was good. This was the best atmosphere, home or away, he's ever been to.
100%, 100%. Before the game, even I think I got to the stadium at about 6:30, and even outside the stadium, there was the flares being thrown everywhere, horses everywhere. Tottenham fans waiting for the Arsenal fans to come through. You can imagine what that's like. Very hostile. People I saw broken bottles in the road. People probably throwing them about. I mean, it was absolutely nuts. I felt like I was in Turkey, not England. It was a kind of like a mad derby day, but on another level, just because the stakes were just so high. Everyone was so up for it. And even the East Upper, everyone was standing throughout the game. Most of the East Upper, I mean, that's rare, isn't it? The South Stand was just ridiculous. It was just a great night. Great night.
I'm so jealous. And look, I was even listening to Gary Neville. He does a little podcast, usually after games and stuff like that. And even he was saying, the atmosphere, it's the best he's seen in the Premier League. He was saying it was absolutely unbelievable. Look, James, I'm jealous, my man. I'm so jealous. I remember he texted me on the day, I think it was, man, got a last-minute ticket. I was like, I felt like strangling you, James, so I did. I was like, you lucky boy.
It was ridiculous. I was literally not going. I was not going. I asked 4 or 5 people to try and help me out. And they couldn't get anything. And then literally lastminute.com, I got a message on our Spurs-related Instagram saying, hey, mate, I've got 2 tickets going. And I was like, go on then. Do you want me to promote them or anything? He was like, no, you guys have them. I was like, fucking hell, this luck is ridiculous. Never get anything lucky. So give him a little shout out here. He probably watches your channel. He's Irish, actually. He's a professional Irish rugby player. He's called Peter Robb. So he might follow this channel. So shout out to him. What a legend.
Probably doesn't, but big up, Peter. If you are looking for a channel to come and subscribe to, why not have the Irish coming around? But no, you're lucky. They're like gold dust. I mean, there was 2 Irish lads that got in contact with me, the week beforehand, and they had flights booked and they just didn't have tickets. And I was trying to get them tickets. I mean, I just couldn't get them one anywhere. It was absolutely so. You're lucky, very, very lucky.
Yeah.
Look, guys, we will check in on the chat. Make sure everybody in the chat is doing good as well. This is a big one tomorrow. We've got Spaghetti Slayer says we better batter Burnley for sacking Sean Dyche. Come on, you Spurs. No, look, we've got to batter Burnley for many reasons tomorrow. My biggest fear is, maybe seeing them a bit lethargic. But look, we'll get into that. We'll have a discussion on that. Big up Dermot. He says, ladies and gentlemen, it's here. We are all live from Kildare, Ireland. All that's left to say is let's get ready to rumble. Big up Dermot. He also says, introduced live from Kildare, Ireland. He is the biggest Spurs and Ireland fan in the world. He is the boss, the main man, the one and only David Harry Kane, Irish Hotspur Harris. Live from Brooklyn, New York. If Carlsberg made stats, then this man would be the best in the world. He's the one and only Jack, son, stats man, Kaniki.
Not a big fan of Carlsberg, Dermot. So, but I appreciate the reference. I know the reference, and, I like that they say that, it's kind of like, just companies saying they're the best coffee in the world. It's bold. Big up, Dermot. Appreciate it.
I love that. Big up, Dermot, my man. And he says, and to the two guests, whoever you are, both legends. So let's get this party started. I love that. Ricky Nado's in the house. Yes, Dave and Jack. It's, yes, Dave and Jack is tops. Just love this show. Come on, you Spurs. Ricky Nato, really appreciate that, my man. I really appreciate that people are enjoying the content. All I can say is that over the summer, especially next season, it's going to ramp up tenfold and be even better, my man. Always looking to improve here, and we will not stop till we're the best, my man. So big yourself up, Ricky. We've got Chris in the house. It says, even in the Harris Army, we need to win tomorrow. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Come on, you Harris Army. Let's send Burnley down in flames. Big up, my man. Good to see you in the building, Chris. You got Mark.
Big up, Chris.
Where's the Kulusevski news come from? None of the Spurs socials are reporting him being ill. Look, I had someone get in contact with me earlier, say something a little bit about it. Went and tried to do a bit of digging. And look, the only one I could really, I went then to We Are Tottenham TV's Twitter page, see if they had, and then they had it up as well. So I'm not sure. But the rumors is that he has food poisoning and is a major doubt for tomorrow's game. And that, with it being at 12 o'clock, even if he does make the game, he's more than likely not going to start. James, do you know much about this?
It sounds like he's had a few too many tequilas Thursday night, to be honest, Dave. He's got food poisoning. I think that's not food poisoning. I think that's drink poisoning. But jokes aside, Paul O'Keefe, who I think is quite reliable on Twitter, I think he has some kind of insider info, says apparently there's going to be an assessment on him tomorrow morning to see how he feels. It's a bit of an illness, and that's all we know. But that's also not tier one source on Spurs related. So take that with a pinch of salt. I haven't got too much knowledge on this. But
I would say keep your eye on it. We didn't know anything about Romero until a couple of hours before the Derby game. So, we'll just have to wait and see, guys.
Do you think there's been a bit of sabotage by the scum here, James? Because, in the case of Romero, they said he had an injection before the game. I feel like maybe it was like some sort of blow dart, some sort of tranquilizer. Maybe they put in him, that maybe has, iced him out for the rest of the season. In the case of Kulusevski, maybe they did feed him something, put something in the water, at the end of the game, perhaps. And he's, been feeling ill ever since. Perhaps maybe some gooner sabotage. They were complaining about playing any of these fixtures. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to sabotage it as well.
Yeah, maybe they tried Lasagna Gate 2 on Thursday and only got to Kulusevski's plate. Or
Sneaky.
Kulusevski just went to Tottenham IKEA and had a few too many of those Swedish meatballs. But either way, let's hope he's back tomorrow because I can't watch Lucas. I'm sorry, Lucas. But hopefully it's Bergwijn, right? But we'll get into this anyway.
Look, we will get into it, but I'm just telling people now. It's not. I would be very surprised if it's Bergwijn. We'll talk about it when we get onto it. Big up, Nick. Good to see you in the building. Good evening, lads. Come on, you Spurs need to win tomorrow. 164 Spurs says, big up, guys. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, my man. I hope you're keeping well. Tequila 316. Big up, guys. Big up, Tequila. Good to see you in the building. He's going to go with 4-0 Spurs tomorrow. We're going to absolutely wreck them. Honestly, man, I want payback. Again, we're going to get into it, but look what happened the last time they beat us. And all I'm going to say is, we bet Man City last time, went into that game on a high, had Burnley close enough after the City game. Look what happened. And my fear is that I do not want the same to happen again. after such a big night on Thursday night. We've got to be ready. But I want revenge. I mean, they nearly made Conte quit that beating, to that header. So I want to exact some revenge. Big up Tequila. Good to see you in the house.
Big up.
We've got Viscas Shootlet. Anyone watch the FA Cup final? Yeah, we did, my man. It was absolutely dross. It was piss poor. I mean, honestly, I felt like getting out the paint and starting doing a bit of painting, to be honest with you. And the Liverpool fans are intolerable. I mean, they're already on my phone sending me images and everything. Just like, honestly, you're intolerable. You're absolutely a disgrace. It's so annoying. So annoying. Anyway, Leanne Rowley in the house. Good evening, all. Big up, Leanne. I hope you're keeping well. Good to see you in the building. Welcome, welcome. We've got Ayanami says, hope all the Kulu doubts are fake. I don't want to see Lucas playing. I'd rather play Stevie. Big debate. Big debate going on. Daniel Larson, hi, Jack and David. Hope you're all well. Going to put a bet for Pierre to score tomorrow. I mean, he's getting closer, Daniel. He's had a few good weeks in him now, to be fair. He has had a few good weeks in him, and he is getting closer. So, Daniel, I mean, it's not a bad bet to be making, brother. Big yourself up. We've got Sure Your Man Uchel. Sounds good. He says it might be fake because no media reports are showing anything. What I will say is that, Romero didn't come out till very, very late before the game. I wouldn't say it's 100% fake. Michael Sober says, evening, lads. Big up, my man. He says, I'm going to the game tomorrow. So pumped. Well, my man.
Big up, Michael.
I will be asking the guys, but I want everybody to make that an absolute fortress tomorrow. Like I've already said, just as important as the North London Derby, and Conte has called for it as well, Michael. So make sure you have a few jars in you and you are ready to go full voice, my man. Big yourself up. Harry's in the building. Arteta got beat tactical by Conte and then got told to stop moaning. He's a boss, man. Yeah, look. No, he got an old-fashioned ass whooping, Arteta did. I mean, of all proportions, on the pitch and off the pitch. I mean, look, there's levels to this game. It's just clear to see Arteta is just cannot compete with Conte, and that's why it makes it all the more important to back this guy this summer, and we will have a discussion on that as well. Big up, Harry. Blue Eye says, just a win, please. Evening all, come on, you Spurs. And that's it, man. I don't care how we play. We just want the win. Seb Shah says, big up, lads. On all watching the Conte Wrecking Crew will get us over the line in this race. I really do hope so, my man. I really do hope so. Look, he's coming in like a wrecking ball. Miley Cyrus to be proud, my man. Paul says, how's it going, lads? Hope you have all had a good day. Come on, you Spurs. I'm still bouncing around, lad. Still bouncing off that result, and if we beat Burnley, I'll be bouncing into Norwich, and that's the way it should be for every Spurs fan. Life is good. Smoking them Arsenal tears has been a joy the last few days, absolute joy. Daz Earlier says, "What about Burnley fans who travelled down? Joke, not fair, but hey, come on, you Spurs." Big up, my man. Hope you're keeping well, Dazza. Jack is in the house. Big up, Burford. He says, "What up on the Irish Hotspur? All you're missing is that Jack Burford fella." No, my man. Look, be in contact. We'll be on the show next week. Bring that energy you brought to the fan show, my man. Really loved that. And I seen your video from outside the ground as well, my man. Big yourself up. Hope you had
He's seeing three up top right now, Dave, and he's just saying, why not add, a fourth in there? Put four up top. I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Burford.
Shawnee's on his way. Shawnee's on his way. Can't do it because then we have five and we have an even number. Antonio Conte doesn't like five at the back. He likes three at the back, Jack.
Tell you what, Jack, you're reserve if Sean gets food poisoning. How about that?
Welsh Gal says, big up, lads. Build on the great win on Thursday. Take it to Burnley. 3 points, please. Hope the tune humble the scum and make Lego head melt down again. Oh, that would be absolutely a sight of beauty. That really would. Imagine the tears coming out of him if we beat Burnley tomorrow and they lose to Newcastle. Honestly, it'd be probably the most watched press conference worldwide, I would say. It's going to be. Honestly, they could actually probably charge pay-per-view for it on Sky, if I'm being honest. People would probably pay that. Spurs fans alone would pay for it. Big up, Welsh Gal.
Welsh Gal, even the Sky Sports reporter even told him to calm down, at one stage, like during, the interview. He was saying, like, I understand that you're angry. I mean, Welsh Gal, like David said, there are levels to this, and Mikel Arteta's got to find a way to cool down.
He's an absolute moron. He's an absolute moron. I can't wait. There's going to be a lot more of them tears to come because he just signed a new contract. I mean, in fairness, it feels like Christmas has come early. He signed a new contract, which we all know he's not good enough to compete with the likes of a Conte, a Klopp, a Guardiola, or a Tuchel. They're in a level to their own. And then there's Mikel Arteta down there with like the Brighton manager, Mr. Jackson, and stuff like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. They could probably form the Jackson 5, to be honest with you. But, I mean, there's just levels to this. And then we go and absolutely humble them on Thursday night as well. And do you know what I love? The fact that we left them known, and that could have been 5, that could have been 6-0, but we took it easy on them because we have the Burnley game coming up. Makes it even more sweeter. Big up, Dark Son G, brother. Really appreciate support, my man. He says, I hope this defeat of the Blues deplete their form and then they lose their next 2 games. Also, I hope Newcastle rips the Gooners apart. Their broken defence. Spurs beat Burnley at least 3-0 today. Top 4 is ours. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Dark Son G. What time is the game? It's today. He's on today, or he's on game day already. So what time is the game for you, my man?
What happened, Dark Son G? What happened, Dark Sun G? Let us know, what happened in the game, my man. But in the case of, the Chelsea, though, like, Dave, he's just holding on to it. He's finding every which way to hold on to seeing Chelsea maybe somehow drop out of it. He still wants to believe Chelsea can, still find a way to bottle it, which, to be fair, Dark Sun G, it would be a very valiant way to hold on to still just keep holding on to it. So I've forever said that Chelsea are going to get third. I think they're still going to get third, but yeah, they've continued to find ways to bottle it. But in the case of Newcastle, who knows? St. Maximin's not really playing so well under Eddie Howe, but they do have Callum Wilson coming back in, which is a big deal, I must say, for how they like to play. So Dark Sun G, let me know how that goes. But James, what do you think? Like in the case of Newcastle, I mean, are they probably a better team to probably beat the scum than maybe Everton?
Oh, 100%. I think like we were saying before the stream, Everton are probably going to be safe by then. I see them beating Brentford tomorrow. Let's see. But I think Newcastle, like Dave said, Trippier being a Spurs fan. Apparently you said Eddie Howe's a Spurs fan, but also Newcastle love to get one over Arsenal. I think over the years, like Newcastle have been a bit of a bogey team to Arsenal. Especially, I just always remember it. I don't know if you guys know which one I'm talking about, that 4-4. Where Newcastle were 4-0 down, and then bang, 4-4. I think it was Tiote, I think, rest his soul. I think he's that scored the winner, the equaliser. But it felt like a winner, right? And at St James's Park as well. Monday Night Football, that'll be rocking. That's their last home game. I see it happening, guys. I see a draw here. I do. I really do. I just think it's going to happen.
Kieran Trippier, free kick, top bins, last minute. See Arsenal fans, melt down in the tune. It would be absolutely unbelievable. Big up, Dark Son G, brother. Really appreciate the support, my man. He's still loving life. I love to see it. Blue Eyes is in the building. Says, big up, man. Big up, big man, Dave. Big up, Jack. Come on, you Spurs. Must-win game tomorrow. Please, God. It's a huge game tomorrow. Huge. We got to win it. Catalania Pena says, come on, you Spurs. Big up. We've got Kois in the building. Says, how is it, lads? Big up the boys from Spurs Related. It's Leo.
Legend. Yeah, that's Leo Ball. Yeah, a bit of a Spurs relatable coming in. Spurs related fan. Legend. I told him to come over because they were asking, where's our preview? And I said, look, Andre's out with his dad. It's his birthday. I said, well, I'll come on the Irish Shot Spur and do a little preview here. I said, come over, lads. So you got one of them over. Let's hope there's a few more come over, eh?
And he's making himself known and making sure James. He's a big fan of the channel, making sure Leo the legend. Big up, my man. Good to see you in the building. I hope you're keeping well, brother. Adrian Schrock is in the building. Good up, big up, my man. I hope you're keeping well. We also got Enrico Braceno. Sounds good. Probably better in an Antonio Conte accent, to be fair, but says, nice one, Sonny. Nice one, son. Nice one, Sonny. Let's have another one.
Let's have another one.
Let's have another two.
He's ready. Mo Salah went off injured today as well. I mean, it's gearing up for it. It really is gearing up for it. It'd be the biggest comeback I've ever seen in my life if Son pulls off that golden boot. And I'd be absolutely buzzing for him. Colin Turner says, can't see Chelsea dropping points to Watford. No, maybe not. But look, we can hope. Patrick Campbell says, I'm listening to 2 podcasts, this and Tottenham on tour. Alex is being deluded as usual. Patrick, look, he's just trying to be... Look, he tried calling me out, right? This is how delusional the guy is. He accuses me of hiding, even though I tried to organize a stream with him. And then when the boy says, we'll get him on, he's like, no, don't get him on. That's how delusional he is. He doesn't know what he wants, my man. Look, when Alex wants to talk facts, he's more than welcome to come back on here. You know, I'll school him again. But one thing I can't have is the guy talking about trophies. I mean, the guy wanted Ali and Winks in this team this season, and then he's trying to tell me trophies. And the only reason why he's doing that, by the way, actually, the only reason why Alex is doing that is because all season long, he was saying, oh, we're not getting top 4. And now that we're anywhere near close to it, he changes the argument to I want trophies. I mean, if anybody wants trophies in the farm, I can listen to anybody in the fan base telling me they want trophies. But not a guy I used to debate trying to tell him that top 4 was not a trophy. You know, all you get is punching fresh air rather than living a physical trophy, you know. Try telling them that. But look, Patrick, I'm sure he'll be in the comments in here shortly, you know, trying to wind us all up. But big up, my man. Great support on both channels. Dark Sun G says, if Ben Mee and Tarkowski is out for Burnley tomorrow, isn't their area threat and defensive threat out? Then we should have a great time today, I hope. Dark Sun G, mind the guy Nathan Collins, the Irish guy, he's a big boy. He's not bad in the air whatsoever, to be fair to him. Jack, who are you expecting to start in beside them, Nathan Collins, tomorrow?
Tarkowski, they said they've been like sort of saving him for this one, Dark Sun G. He could be out. I mean, I made the stats with Jack kind of early. So he could actually be out for this one. They did say that he was running in training, you know, kind of doing some workouts and whatnot. So I would expect that he could be available for this one. But if he isn't, who would go out? Who would also go alongside? I don't know. Like, when has there been a time when they've been without Tarkowski and Ben Mee at the same time?
Yeah.
I can't really think about it. So
that's a huge.
I don't really know who goes back there, to be fair, Dark Sun G. But in the case of Nathan Collins, like Dave said, you know, maybe the better threat in the air. Tarkowski certainly is a decent one, decent threat in the air. But Ben Mee, I think, is the best of all of them. Ben Mee will not be available. That's for certain. He'll be on the sidelines. In terms of their defensive ability, if Tarkowski's out, I really feel like we will have a much better day at the office, because they need to have one of those leaders in the back, either Ben Mee or Tarkowski. I feel like they can't be without either of them for this, because especially away from home, they're going to need one of them there for it if they're going to need to get a result. So big up, Dark Sun G.
I think it's. I just had a look. The player that replaced Tarkowski in the Villa game was Kevin Long. He's Irish.
Another Irish guy. He's absolutely dog shit.
Well, there you go then.
So behind Nathan Collins, put them in. Get Sonny running in behind all day behind Nathan Collins, and you'll ruin them.
But the point is, Dave, is that if Tarkowski is there, you could see maybe Collins having a good game because he's alongside someone like a Tarkowski, who's kind of a focal point in that defense. But if they're without Ben Mee and Tarkowski, which I don't remember many times when Burnley that's ever been the case for them, that could be a big loss because there's no real leaders back there.
Yeah. No, 100%. And then that's why I say just get them centre-backs turned tomorrow. Look, Tarkowski is hit and miss. It is a late fitness test he is facing. He did come off injured against Aston Villa late on in the game. So we'll wait and see what the call is. But look, if the two of them are out, I mean, that's huge for us. They are gettable for sure. Big up, Dark Sun.
Some of that lasagna just to make sure, Dark Sun G, but big up.
Big up, my man. Moondog's in the building. Evening, Jack. I will email you the tracking number.
Appreciate it, Moondog. I think that will probably be much better for this time, because then that way, you know, you don't have to worry as much about it, you know, and I can just take care of it from there. Big up, Moondog.
Big up, Moondog. Hope you're keeping well.
What have you ordered in? Have you ordered in some tissues for Arteta or something?
No, Moondog has a surprise for us. So he has a surprise for us. She's sending them over. So be awesome. I love Moondog's work. He already made me like a Robbie Keane coaster, and then there's a Harry Kane plaque as well that I kiss every night before I go to sleep. You know, I slept with it Thursday night. But big up, Moondog. Hope you're keeping well, brother. We've got Harold T in the building. Good to see you. Georgie Hill. Good to see you, my man.
Big up, Harold. That is going to be an early one.
Big up, Paddy Higgins. We're all buzzing, my man. Big yourself up. P.O. Block, Ricky. Paddy. Good to see you all in the building. John Stokes, evening, gentlemen. Up the Spurs will beat Burnley 3-1. Big up, my man. Wayne Bonner, new channel member, Wayno. I want to see you on the fan show Tuesday night, my man. I want to see you there, brother. Big up, Wayne. And I hope life is treating you well, brother. And hopefully you enjoyed the North London Derby. Hopefully you were awake for it. I've no doubt you missed it. You didn't miss it, and that you had a few cans. But big up, Wayno. We've got Rob Cutting in the house. Big up, Robbie. Good to see you in the building. We've also got Liam One. Evening, my man. Hope you're keeping well. Dark Sun G says the only reason Burnley won is because Ben went off injured and we had to use Winks, which helped out Burnley massively. I hope for a Cesc goal. Now, that is true. Bentancur was a huge loss coming off that game. And it's again, Dark Sun G. I mean, I expect you to remember when it comes to Harry Winks, you're on his case. And look, it is true. Anytime the guy comes on the pitch, we concede. And yeah, and to be fair, look, it wasn't exactly Winks' fault the goal went in, but when he came on, it was more of an end-to-end game. We just couldn't keep the ball like we were with Bentancur. And it did open up the game a little bit. So, I mean, I just don't want to see the guy anywhere near the team, but it is getting worrying. I mean, if Kulusevski is out or with Romero out, even I think we're down to 14 fit senior players, outfield senior players. So, I mean, it's getting down to the bare bones. The end of the season can't really come quick enough. And look, for Cesc Young, I mean, it would be nice to see the guy score. He's had a decent run of games, to be fair. Big up, Dark Sun G, brother. Really appreciate support.
He's kind of out, he's kind of outshining you, Dave, in terms of the Harry Winks, scholarship. Because Dave, you kind of, you like to pride yourself, in terms of, knowing, which games and, when Harry Winks has hurt us most. And I feel like Dark Sun G has kind of been outshining you in that case recently, Dave.
Nobody outshines me when it comes to Harry Winks, my man. I was the first one that came on and had real talk about Harry Winks. Everyone was sitting there, oh, what if he does that? And I'm just like, look, forget it. He's not going to do it. Just forget it. Nobody outshines
Dark Sun G's coming with the stats here. He is coming with the stats here, Dave. I know it's kind of he said, she said here. And, he's coming with the stats. So, he could be outshining you. That's all I'm saying. Dark Sun G, keep it up.
Nah, nobody outshines me when it comes to Winksy, my man. It's my specialist subject. Big up, Toxic Headshot. Big up, Kev Williams. Good to see you in the building. Who else have we got? Daniel Field. Good to see you, my man. Marlon Green. Good to see you in the building. Seb Shah. Big up. Wayno says Arteta's new contract. I mean, honestly, it's a Christmas present. It's an absolute Christmas present, Wayno. I mean, we couldn't have asked for anything more, to be honest with you. And the longer he stays, the less good players they're going to get in. No real senior players, big personalities, big players will want to come to Arsenal for the right reason anyway. What they'll be stuck with is a load of overpaid, overpriced players, and Arteta, there's a reason why they got rid of Aubameyang, and ended up winning Ketia, because the senior players just don't respect them. They wouldn't do what he says, and that's why they're running out there with a kiddie crash out there at the minute, my man. Big up, Wayno, and keep laughing that one all the way to the bank, my man. Big up, Wayno, he's loving life. Big up, Derek Hutchinson. Good to see you in the building as well, brother. Big up, my man. Dark Sun G says 8 p.m. kickoff today, which is great for me. Bad for Spurs.
That's fantastic for Dark Sun G. Honestly, he deserves it. And Spurs need to just suck it up, Dave, because Dark Sun G's been waking up at 3 a.m. for around 98% of these games. So honestly, that makes me feel like Spurs, as well as most of us, just need to kind of suck it up, for this one.
Oh, we all do. We all do. I mean, my biggest problem is Tottenham don't really do good on early kickoffs. That is my biggest concern. We always look slow out the traps, slow out the blocks. So, but it's good for Dark Sun G. I mean, people like Dark Sun G, Kaguma,
he deserves it.
Everybody over that side of the world probably does deserve a nice kickoff time. So, Dark Sun G, kick back, relax, order a takeaway, crack open a can, my man, and enjoy the game. Beat yourself up. Honestly, no better way to do it. I mean, next season, I encourage everybody to do it, because we're just going to get win after win.
What do you even drink at 3 a.m., Dave? Like, either you're going all night and you're, trying to stay awake, or you're, waking up. What do you drink? Water? You dare try to drink coffee. That means you're up for like 24 hours straight. I mean, I don't even know, Dark Sun G. You deserve it, my man. 8 p.m. kickoff. Enjoy it.
You just lie there with your mouth drier than the Sahara. You don't drink that. Claude Murphy, big up, my man. Hope you're keeping well. Graham, big up, my man. Hope you're keeping well. I know you had fun Thursday night. I mean, they're probably still picking up bodies there today. Big up, brother. Hope you're keeping well. Hope you're keeping well. Elias is in the building, that lovely, sexy badge beside his name, just like Wayne Bonner got today. I mean, it's a privilege to have one of them. So many more people with the badge beside their name in the chat. I love to see that. Everybody keep getting them memberships. Like I said, it keeps helping myself and Jack out. Big up, Tala Ahmed as well. Big yourself up. An early one for you as well tomorrow. Hopefully you're up nice and early. Big up, Joseph Tyler. And big up, Irish Hotspur. Hope you guys are well. Buzzing. Absolutely buzzing. Just like we always are. Always in a good mood, buddy. Always in a good mood. Dark Zone G says, the games that Winks played, Star and Subs, both Southampton games, Wolves home, Man United away, Brighton home, Chelsea away, Burnley away. Look how many points dropped. I know. I mean, the list, list just goes on and on, on and on. The biggest one was the Brighton one. I just knew it was going to happen when he come on. United, unacceptable. Southampton, Wolves. I mean, the Wolves one hurt because I went to the game and I'm thinking, nice one. I'm going to see Ben Tekers. I'm going to see Højbjerg. And Harry Winks is in the lineup. I mean, I could not believe it. I really could not believe it, Dark Song G. I mean, I felt like just heading back to the airport. I really did. I couldn't turn back on the club. It needed me, but I really felt like leaving. The guy just has... I was actually on the phone to Sean earlier, right? And I was saying, if this guy survives another season, I want Netflix to do a 6-part special on it titled Biggest Fraud in the World, but biggest con man in the world, because the fact that he keeps collecting wages week in, week out, and we lose when he plays, I mean, it deserves to be exposed somewhere along the line. So if there's anyone from Netflix watching that can organise that, please get that done. Big up, Dark Song G, brother. I really appreciate support. We have Paul in the house, Paul Beatty. Big up all the way from down under. Probably an early one for you. And maybe as well, Mr. Kelly, if he's watching. But big up, my man. We've got Top. Don't want Raheem Sterling. Way overrated. Way overrated. Do not want him whatsoever, my man. But big yourself up. But look, guys, I think we will start cracking into it. I'm going to tell everybody everything they need to know. And then let's get some game talk on. But everybody, make sure you smash that like button. You wouldn't walk into your mother's house without there wiping your runners on the carpet. It's like coming in here. Smash that like button. It's compulsory at this stage. Also, smash that subscribe button. Big push to 7K is on. Let's see how close we can get there before the end of the season as well. I mean, if you have to, just create an account for your goldfish. I don't mind. Just get that subscribe button smashed. Also, feel free to get your points, your feelings, anything, whether you agree, disagree with us, no problem. We can all have a good discussion on it. But if you want to skip the queue, just simply put it in a super chat. It's a massive help to everything we do here. We're constantly trying to get better, constantly trying to come up with new ways of putting out content to you guys. Hopefully you are enjoying it. And the super chats just basically really help us on everything we have to pay for and do as well. But the biggest one, guys, is the channel memberships. If everybody grabbed one, over 6,000 subscribers, it means myself and Jack can just have security going into next season, knowing that there's enough there in the bank to be able to keep this channel running, guys. It's a massive, massive help. But big yourselves up. But I will tell everybody everything they need to know now, because I'm sure there's people screaming down, just saying, shut up, Dave, and get on with it. So, of course, we are at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It is a noon kickoff. Like I said, thank the Premier League for that one. Referee is Kevin Frank. Hopefully he's our friend tomorrow. In the VR room, Stuart Artwell has been drafted in. Not sure really what he's going to bring to the table, but wait and see. I'll decide that tomorrow. TV channels, it's on the USA network for people that are waking up at about 8, 9 a.m. tomorrow for this game. 8 a.m. in Jack's case. I mean, it's an early one, really early. In Canada, it's on the Zone. And for the UK and Ireland, it's on BT Sport. And guys, if you want to, if you're sick of listening to just biased commentary, because I'm sure they'll pluck out some Burnley player from the 1960s just to talk about Burnley. I mean, why not join us for the watch along, starting here at 12 at 11:45 here tomorrow, guys. Just simply have the game on your telly, turn down the commentary, and listen to me and Jack. A lot of people enjoyed the North London Derby one, and this one will probably just be as entertaining, I hope. So why not join us for that? Team news, of course, Matt Doherty out for the season, along with Ollie Skip, Jaffa Tangang, and Serge Reguilon. It's also been confirmed since the Arsenal game. Christian Romero is out with a hip injury, so he's not likely to be back. But for the last 2 games, definitely ruled out at tomorrow's game. And the Kulusevski as well, rumoured to have food poisoning, might not make the game tomorrow. For Burnley, they're missing James Tarkowski. Well, he's not missing, but he faces a late fitness test. He came on with a hamstring problem against Aston Villa, so it's a race against time to see if he plays. Ben Mee, Jay Rodriguez, Johan Berg Gudmundsson are all out, as well as Ashley Westwood and Matej Vidra as well. I mean, honestly, that's a list of crap players. I feel sorry.
I would say that Westwood, just quickly, just because I looked into the stats, and believe me, I try to stay away from any Burnley stats page as much as I can, Dave, but I had to do it. Westwood is one of their more creative players, you could say, so that it does help us out a bit.
Yeah, no, massive.
What I saw.
Yeah, no, the more out, the better it is for us, to be honest with you. But I mean, look, we'll just start with ease into this before we get into an Antonio Conte discussion, because I have a lot maybe I want to touch on. But I mean, look, we'll start with you, Jack. What's your thoughts heading into tomorrow's game?
Dave, it's kind of an interesting one because, like I said, we had basically survived the two biggest tests. That we had survived the big crunch time. The ones that basically decide the season. Because had we slipped up against Liverpool, had we slipped up against the scum, the season's over. There's nothing left to play for. You kind of just write it out. Might as well book your tickets to wherever you go. Of course, none of us have probably the privilege to go to Maldives like these players, but you would be kind of, in that sort of summer mindset already. And, thankfully, Dave, the players I thought, and kind of almost with flying colors, had they maybe gotten the result against Liverpool, that would be with exceptional flying colors. But in my eyes, Dave, two exceptional performances from the boys, and they probably could be already backing themselves, maybe feeling very proud of themselves. But the kind of disappointing thing is that they're not really done here, Dave. They kind of do have to keep pushing in this sort of kind of manner to the last minute, to the last second practically of the season. And that's the disappointing probably thing for them, is that they might have thought that they're probably done there. They kind of done everything, to get the best results they can against two really tough opponents. But it just keeps going from here, Dave. And that's where I'm kind of a bit worried. Can they keep at this sort of pace, this sort of intensity for the rest of the season? I feel like they do, because I think they know what's at stake. I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's right in front of them. Conte's drilling it into them every single second. But there is that sort of worry, Dave, that when you kind of get through the highs of, kind of the North London derby, as well as that Liverpool result, can you really, still keep that sort of intensity for a 12, for a noon kickoff against Burnley? Like, can you keep that sort of intensity, especially only so soon after the most recent game? It'll be an interesting one.
No, definitely. Look, definitely a lot of talking points to get into off the back of that, Jack. So which we will. James, yourself, my man. I mean, what's your general thoughts heading into tomorrow's game?
Do you know what? Without being super optimistic and confident, I honestly think Burnley are so bad, and I know they're fighting for their life, right? But like, when I went to the game the other day, I was a little bit nervous. But even thinking about it straight,
you told me on your show you weren't nervous, James. Come on.
Listen, do you know what? That's what I thought you were going to say. That. So when I was doing that preview, and this is no like word of a lie, when I was doing that, I was full on confident that Arsenal had no like wow players. They had no threats. We had nothing to worry about. We were at home in front of an incredible crowd. And then getting closer and closer to that game, I was starting to get a little bit nervous just because of the stakes. And then I knew I was going. And then I was like, please don't let me go and watch like the most demoralizing loss at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then that was obviously a bit nervous. And then, the nerves went after like 20 minutes when we scored and then they got the red. But that's what I'm saying. But Burnley, like, honestly, we can get to 11:59 tomorrow and I will not be nervous at all. Like, they are so bad. And honestly, I can't wait to get clipped if we lose. Do you know what? But they are so bad. Like, there's Watford, Norwich, and them. And Leeds are so bad as well. They are so much worse than all the other teams. They're worse than Palace. They're worse than Brighton, Dave. I know you don't like me saying that. They're worse than Villa. They're worse than all those mid-table teams by a long stretch. And that's why they're in the dog fight now. And Burnley, like, go through their team. And I know we did this with Arsenal, Dave, on our channel. But you go through Burnley's team, and you genuinely look and you go, like, okay, Newcastle, St. Maximin could do something special. Chris Wood could pop up with a goal. You look at any other team, Zaha. Zaha. Burnley, I'm literally racking my brain now, like, as you've been talking about Westwood, and I'm thinking, the fact you said Westwood, the fact you said Westwood is their most creative player. I mean, you might as well put Harry Winks in their team. He's probably the most creative player. Honestly, it is absolutely shambles at Burnley. Sean Dyche is the only reason I actually tuned in for any of their games, because he's actually a laugh.
Me too.
Honestly, it is like Graveyard FC, Jack. I'll go with that. It is honestly dead player central. And I'm just thinking, like, Wedgehorst is probably their most threatening player. And the guy is like, he's come from Wolfsburg and he hasn't really hit the ground running yet. I mean, without going off on one, they are so bad, honestly. No. So I'm very confident. There's your answer.
I love it.
Doesn't like watching, Burnley, Dave. It seems like James. He's not honestly, a fan of the Burnley way.
Do you know what?
A couple of games, they are shit though. They do bore you.
Honestly, like, Leeds, I would rather stayed up. I know a lot of people probably want Leeds to go back down because it's funny because they're a bigger club and everything. But Burnley have overstayed their welcome in the Premier. It's a bit like Bournemouth. Like, it's a bit snore. Just get out of the league, go and enjoy the Championship for a bit. Burnley are a Championship team. Let's be honest. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah,
like Nottingham Forest today, I watched in the playoff. They're so much better than Burnley. Honestly.
No, I agree. The bottom there, Duta says we need to show a lot of character. Job well done winning against Arsenal, but 3 points is a must win tomorrow. We should destroy a bottom table team. I mean, like James just went off there at the bottom. I mean, look, we should be beating them. To be honest with you, with no hassle, but because it's Tottenham, I mean, hopefully Conte can erode that sort of thing as the time goes on. But you just never know. There's always that potential there. We've seen it against the likes of Brighton, Burnley, Southampton, Wolves. I mean, we've seen it. Middlesbrough in the FA Cup, for God's sake. I mean, we've seen that we are capable with these sort of performances. And look, for me, this game now is our biggest game of the season. North London Derby was done and dusted, but this now is even bigger. So hopefully we can get the job done. But what I will say to Bolton do is, when the pressure's on and everyone's been backing against us, we've done the job. And I'll kind of back us to get the job done at any means possible tomorrow. I don't give a shit how we play. I just want to win. But big up the Bolton Duta, brother. Really appreciate the support. I'm going to go into a conversation now about Antonio Conte, which I know the Bolton Duta, he'll absolutely love it.
But it is kind of why I had that. Yeah, it is just quickly why I kind of had that speech about him, dude, about, my reservations with this game, because it's what happened last time. We had the high of that win against Man City, played Burnley the next game. Look what happened. Could be a similar thing maybe here, potentially. But I'd like to think that the boys know what they have to do.
Big up the Bolton Duta. Now, guys, look, the last time we were back, Antonio Conte was left questioning his own future after Ben Mee 71st minute winner. Gave us, a fourth defeat in 5 games, but that was off the back of after beating City. Could we see the same after this game if we don't get the win potentially?
It's a good question. I don't think so. I think Conte is really looking forward to the transfer window. I think even if we get 5th, right, I think he's so focused on this rebuild. Like, I think he just had that mid-season. It was, when did we lose to Burnley? January, February? January, I want to say. It was near the start of this year, wasn't it? And I just thought, it's kind of the mid-season kind of blues, if you like. It was kind of getting a bit down in the dumps. The fact that he'd obviously beaten City, like you said, the game before, and then went to Turf Moor on was it a Tuesday night or a Monday night, and it was a wet, rainy night in Burnley, and it was just the fact that we'd gone from absolute wonderland at the Etihad to that within 3 days. He was probably thinking, this has never happened at any other club. What is going on at this club? Yeah. And he even called out some of he accepted responsibility, didn't he? But he also was kind of hinting at the window, wasn't he? I remember him throwing a few little digs saying we're going to have to invest and everything else. And it just, I think if that happened again, like you said, Dave, if we were to lose, I don't think he would make loads of excuses like that. I think he would just be like, look, we're focusing on the finishing the season and going into the window. That is his priority now. Obviously, if we get top 4, amazing. We're going to attract many more players. But I just think he's so focused on that rebuild. If Levy doesn't back him, I mean, that's another question. That's another talking point, of course. Yeah. But I just think he's so confident on getting this done at Spurs. He's here for another, year and a bit, year and a half. That is his focus. I don't think he's going to be down in the dumps, Dave. I really don't.
I really hope not, because, it was scary. We nearly lost them back then. But, Jack, I mean, look, the 50 points earned by Tottenham under Antonio Conte since his first game in charge has only been bettered by the likes of Man City and Liverpool. Similarly, only those 2 teams have scored more league goals than the 54 by Tottenham under Conte as well over the same period. Does this prove to us that Conte is not only the right man, but potentially the only man to take Tottenham forward into the big time? And that now he just has to be backed at all costs, with or without Champions League football?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good way to. It's it's the thing that we've all been saying, he has to be backed. He has to be backed. But why does he have to be backed, right? And maybe sometimes you have to ask yourself that, because someone as delusional as Daniel Levy, Dave, is probably asking himself that, why does he have to be backed? And I guess you have to stoop to that sort of level of stupidity and have to explain it to Daniel Levy. And the way you would explain it is that Antonio Conte has done better with this, to be fair, Dave, before he came in here, dross squad of players, and has actually achieved more and shown more potential in them than any manager has basically since Pochettino. But then you can't even include Pochettino in that bracket, Dave, because he was kind of having these players more or less, when they were new to the Premier League, when they were adjusting, he was getting, kind of the young, naive squad. He was getting what he wanted, since kind of the worst days of Daniel Levy after Pochettino. Antonio Conte has done the best with this kind of drab set of players, to be fair, Dave. And he's actually achieved quite a lot. And and he's achieved so much with them that he's actually showing, Dave, that maybe if he had these players at the beginning of the season with that sort of rate, with those sort of numbers that you were talking about, Dave, who knows? He would have probably gotten third or fourth, with this set of players. And if he had actually gotten, let's say, a real set of players for this season, then you can only imagine what he would be achieving. Because if he's basically getting third place sort of kind of numbers consistently in the Premier League with this squad of players, and I know the squad of players has taken us far this season, but let's be honest, Dave, that is quite impressive. And I think that's much better than what Jose was doing, to be fair. And that's much better than we know Nuno was going to be doing it too. And much better than, I don't even know why we included Ryan Mason, and much better than probably the, peak end of kind of Pochettino as well. This is the best anyone's ever done with this kind of set of players. That's what you'd say to Levy.
I agree. I mean, look, you even go across the back line. Most people want Emerson gone, whether we like it or not. He's starting to turn it around. People want Doherty gone. He got a tune out of Doherty. He got a tune out of Davies and Dyer. Sanchez at times, although for me, still has to go. Session was loaned out, injury prone. He's getting a tune out of him. I mean, there's a lot of players that he's managed to work with. Even Lucas, for the first part of the season, he was getting a decent tune out of him. And for me, I think what Daniel Levy was maybe looking for, and this is why for me there's no excuse to get out for it, is a manager that can come in and prove that he can get more, that you can work with these players. But at the end of the day, he's got the very best out of them, and it's inconsistencies that you can only get rid of by improving in the transfer market. And for me, when you see how down to the bare bones of the squad we are, there's no choice but to left to back this guy. Because if you don't back this guy, you're going to go down a route that Man United's going with, like a Ten Hag, where it's more of a project, like Arsenal around with Arteta, where it's more of a project. And you're just going to lose more and more ground on the likes of Man City, on the likes of Liverpool. So for me, you've got to back this guy now. He's proven that right now he is the only guy that can take this club to the next level. 50 points since he's come in, only bettered by City and Liverpool. 54 goals since he's come in. We couldn't even get shot on target under Nuno. Only bettered by Liverpool and City. So for anybody's proven, plus we've got 2 draws off Liverpool, unbeaten against Liverpool this season, beating City twice, unbeaten against City this season. So if there's anyone that has the potential to be able to bring us trophies, if there's anyone that has the potential to be able to, help us compete with the likes of City and Liverpool where they're at now, it's this guy, Antonio Conte. And look, we have the last guest. He's about an hour. He's about 45 minutes late. Timing maybe isn't his thing, but look,
we needed him, Dave.
He's had a lot to say on Antonio Conte. Yes. So I do want to hear what he has to say on my question. Let's get him on. It's the one and only Shawnee Boy Game Day, my man.
I'm so sorry, boys. I'm so sorry. The other show went on. I was trying to wrap it up for an hour.
Let me guess, Mr. Postbox wouldn't stop speaking.
No, it was a great show, but I'm so sorry I'm late. It was it wasn't intentional. But I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys doing? How's everybody doing here?
Absolutely buzzing, my man. Absolutely buzzing. But look, Sean, you've come just in time because, Antonio Conte, you have had a lot to say on the guy. So I do want to see, and that's not a bad thing. I'm by no means am I saying that's a bad thing. But I do want to know, because you were very outspoken with your opinions, I want to know where you are now with the whole thing. But first, I'll just take Dark Sun G Super Chat. He says, the only game Kevin Friend has refereed for us was the Wolves game. However, last season he was the ref for the Burnley home game. We won 4-0. Please repeat. Last season, well, Dark Sun G, like I said, Kevin Friend, hopefully he lives up to his name and he becomes a friend of Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, the referee on Thursday night, what was that guy's name? I mean, he's a good friend of Tottenham Hotspurs now. So hopefully we can add Kevin Friend to that list, my man, and start getting some of these referees on our side, my man. But big up Dark Sun G, brother. Really appreciate the support. But Sean, so I was saying there that, since Antonio Conte has come in,
yeah,
we've accumulated 50 points under him, only bettered by Liverpool and Man City.
Yeah.
Since Antonio Conte has come in, we've scored 54 goals, only bettered by Liverpool and Man City. Has it come a point now where no matter what, at all cost, it doesn't matter whether you get Champions League or Europa League, that this guy is the guy that we have to back going forward, and probably the only guy that can take us towards the likes of Liverpool City, already proven with going unbeaten against them?
Yeah, 100%. I just want to backtrack a little bit because before you took the super chat, I felt like I was getting attacked for some previous comments. So maybe I'm bringing some animosity over from the previous show.
No.
What is it exactly you're saying I've said?
No, the reason why is because the reason why is because we've had a lot of discussions on Conte, and you've constantly questioned about how much we're paying him, and you've constantly said about the formation, this, that, and the other. And look, myself and Jack have just blindside want to back him. That's it. Don't see anything else. And I'm not having a go. I just want to know where you sit now, because with me and Jack, we just like, look, there's only so much he could do, but you had your view. So I just want to know where you're sitting on that now. Like, with what I've read out there, does he just have to be back now? No excuses.
Yeah, he absolutely does have to be backed. I think he will absolutely be backed. I think you're going to see a transfer budget this summer that will be net without net spend, without the sales. I think it will be a larger available cash budget than we have seen since. I think most of us will have ever seen. I think there'll be enough money there. Whatever he wants, he shall get. I completely agree with all that stuff. I wasn't questioning Conte's salary. I'm happy for him to get paid as much as he gets paid if he delivers. But I was definitely questioning the tactical decisions at times when he refused to pivot from the 3-4-3 and was just positing things like has he become predictable when teams play the low block. Because most of the times that we've surprised to the upside, we have beaten teams that don't play the low block. And when we come up against teams that do play the low block, like a Burnley, then sometimes we are left wanting. And I wanted him to have a plan B, which I never really saw. Tomorrow, for example, Burnley would love a point. I spoke on this with you on the phone earlier, Dave. A point for Burnley tomorrow is exactly what they're after. So they will absolutely employ, I don't know if they'll do it the same way that Sean Dyche would, but they absolutely would employ something akin to that. And, Tottenham need to have some methodology of breaking it down. And if we do the usual, we're not going to do the usual 3-4-3. Well, we might play the 3-4-3, but we won't do it with the usual names because at least two of them are probably out, right? If Kulusevski's out and obviously Romero's out, then we have Sanchez in. I'd like to see us do something. All I ever wanted was us to have a plan B and to be unpredictable. And I think tomorrow, that's why I'd like to see something like a Sonny start on the right and a Bergwijn on the left, because that would be something which you could put in the unpredictable bucket. In terms of will we be backed, I think we absolutely will be backed. I think Conte is the guy to take us forward. I also think, I made this analogy on the other show, that I think that Conte doesn't have a history of spending too long with any team. Right? He doesn't. Like, it's a fact. He spends a couple of years here, a year there, goes elsewhere. I look at him now and I feel like he has been dating a lot of girls, a lot of clubs.
Playboy.
Yeah, but now he's been a playboy his entire career. But I think with Tottenham, he might have just found his wife. He might be maturing and have found the club where he settles down and wants to raise children. And I feel like
he's like the George Clooney of managers.
Speaking your language.
He's finally settled down.
I think he might settle down, and therefore I think as long as Daniel Levy doesn't screw this up, then maybe you might find Conte spending his longest tenure at any club at Tottenham.
I
And
agree.
if we
I
can
don't
convince him
think
to
so.
do that, then I think it'd be amazing.
I hold that theory. And I'm gonna believe, and I'm gonna believe very strongly in it because I'd like to think that Conte, has found his wife in Tottenham, like you said, and who knows, maybe wants to, buy a house here, perhaps, produce, maybe some kids, he might put in the Tottenham Academy and whatnot. Who knows? But Ellie with the super chat here saying Graveyard FC beats us in the rain, but we'll batter them in the sun. But we will batter them in the sun. We don't deserve top four. We can't beat Graveyard FC. Perhaps Burnley, maybe you could say all their attributes are probably increased, maybe, James, when it's in the rain, the mud, the sleet, the snow. Maybe all those, horrible players that we were talking about actually play much better when it is, kind of the November, through February time period. But once you're, reaching kind of, when the sun is out, the weather is nice down in London, the Burnley players, they're almost like vampires. This is, when their football just, isn't at its best.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. I mean, they like you said, they're a bit like a Stoke, aren't they? They love playing on a cold, rainy night in Burnley, but come in the sunny Tottenham on a 12 o'clock, then it's a different story, isn't it? It's a very different story.
There you go.
And plus, the stadium's going to be buzzing again tomorrow, I think. I don't know if it'll be maybe I'm sure it'll be near to a sellout, but I mean, it's still going to be buzzing off Thursday. I mean, I'm still buzzing, and I'm sure 60,000 others will be. So I just think it's a very different atmosphere. You go to Turf Moor on a Tuesday night with what's their capacity? I don't know, 18,000. It's very different, isn't it? It's very, very different climate, very different atmosphere. And listen, I can't. I'm saying it nice and early, guys. I can't see any problems tomorrow. I can't see any problems. It's just going to be plain, simple sailing football. And Dave, I know you said 12 o'clocks don't suit us, but to be honest with you, I think as long as it's not in Burnley at 8 o'clock, we could beat Burnley at Tottenham Rec. They're honestly poor. They're so bad.
What I will say is that Harry Kane does have the most goals scored on a Sunday in the Premier League, so he'll probably score one or two tomorrow. So that would be absolutely nice. But Ellie, I mean, it perfectly brings us into the next point. Look, the sun will be shining in London tomorrow. I mean, it's going to be hot there. But look, guys, what I want to know is look, for me, the atmosphere at the Arsenal game, everyone that's been there has said it's the best atmosphere that they've been a part of. Without a shadow of doubt, the best yet. But what I want to know is, should we be doing this again tomorrow? Because for me, this game, should we be producing the same atmosphere tomorrow? Because this game now is even bigger than what the North London Derby was. And for me, I've said this, you can't pick and choose what games you want to be up for and then berate the players for picking and choosing what games they're up for. I mean, for me, I think the North London Derby has set the bar. I think it set the standard. But and Conte has also called for the crowd, to G them up tomorrow. How big a part does the crowd have to play tomorrow? And should we be doing this for every game? Because you look at the games we lost this year, the crowd was flat, the team was flat.
Is that me you're asking?
Anyone can jump in.
I'll just answer quickly and just say, Dave, I'll be honest, maybe I might be a bit sympathetic here, and I want the rest of the panel just to destroy me here and give me that motivation from my pretty pathetic answer that I'm about to give, Dave. But when it's so early in the morning, so early in the afternoon, less time to be able to, maybe pound maybe a few, bubbly ones before, it's hard to get the liquid courage in. Some people are even waking up, either 10 minutes before kickoff, if not maybe in the case of London, 2 hours before kickoff in some cases. It's kind of hard to, have the, the same power in that voice when you're singing Højbjerg's name, when his name is announced. I know Brad Matthews, Dave, he's probably a whole lot louder, when it's a bit later in the day as well, knowing what he's like. So to be honest, Dave, I hope they keep that same energy. They should keep that same energy, but you can sometimes really see where maybe it can be a bit lacking for that reason. But I want to know maybe what James or Sean have to say about that, because I am giving them a bit of an excuse, and perhaps even giving myself an excuse come 6:50 a.m. tomorrow morning when I'm live.
I think it's a good point. I think it's a good point, especially about it's one I haven't really thought about when you came to it, Jack, but about like, you know, the drinking before the game, because it does make a big difference, right? Without just talking about, you know, the alcohol side of things. You know, there's not many pubs serving beer before, I think it's 11 o'clock. So you're right about that, Jack. But also, there's one thing is, the 12 o'clock kickoff anywhere is terrible. Like, look at I remember watching Liverpool Watford. It was a 12:30 a few weeks ago. I honestly think you could hear a pin drop there. But look at Anfield on a European night. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I think it had that kind of feel at Spurs on Thursday. Like I said, the stakes were so high. It's a North London derby, which is ridiculous anyway for atmosphere. You know, times it by 2 because it's a night game, so people have been drinking all day. Times it by 4 because of the stakes. That's why you will never see an atmosphere like that again at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium until a scenario comes like that again. Because I genuinely, Derby Day feels different anyway. Tottenham v Chelsea or Tottenham v Arsenal, it feels different. But because it was a night game, it was just that 10 levels above. It was just ridiculous. And I see what you're saying, Dave. Should we be as up for it again? It just won't happen. It won't happen. And I'm sure you know it won't happen. But I just think it's a very different... Like, I'm not going, wow, I can't wait for the Burnley game tomorrow. I'm going, do you know what? I'm looking forward to the game. Get the job done, 3 points. For Arsenal, I was bouncing off the walls at work. I couldn't even sit still. Like, it's just different. It's just completely different.
Sean? I mean, where do you sit on this one, man?
Yeah, I agree with the boys. I think that even if like the game tomorrow was on Wednesday night and there was just like there was no games this weekend for whatever reason, I still think that there's a massive difference between. I think what James and Jack have said is absolutely perfect. There's no way in a million years are we going to be able to, the average fan going to be able to level up again. Like, and I almost feel like actually it's a deterrent. Like it's a shame. It's actually a negative to be playing at 12:30 tomorrow, because for all the reasons, there's no time to have a beer. There's no time to. It's not under the night sky. All of those things. But also, even if we were doing all those things again, if it was literally a week later, just the fact that it's Burnley. It's not going to mean as much. So I just don't think that you can expect Tottenham to get as riled up for a Burnley game as you can for an Arsenal game. However, I would hope that most fans that are going tomorrow will appreciate the magnitude of the occasion and would be the 12th man again as best they can be. And I think if we get an early goal, I think then the party atmosphere might start to kick in, whatever. But if it becomes a frustrating affair, if it becomes like if it's a 0-0 ball draw and Sanchez is like it was, to be fair, in the first 15 minutes of the game on Thursday, we didn't start very well, and Arsenal started better. And there was a moment when Sanchez got the ball and he dawdled on it, and the fan, like everyone around me, was starting to go, oh, "Come on!" like getting really frustrated. You don't want that to happen tomorrow. You want everyone to be 100% behind the team. I think we'll do it. I think it will be noisier than your average 12:30 on a Sunday mid-season game against Burnley, but it's never going to get anywhere close to the Arsenal level. And I don't think to James's point, you won't see that again.
Sean, what if I told you 30 minutes earlier than that? It's actually
it's 12 o'clock. I was going to say, like, instead of having a burger, because you won't be having a burger in the morning. You'll be having, you're having cornflakes at the Tottenham Hotspur bar. Yeah, bit of porridge, maybe. Why not? You know what I mean?
Wow.
What's the highest you can charge for a bowl of cornflakes?
You'll see on Footy Scan tomorrow. It won't be like a burger. It'll be like cornflakes and milk, £7 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It'll be unbelievable.
Do you know what? For me, look, I've listened to all three, but I disagree. All I hear is excuses.
Yeah.
For me, honestly, it doesn't matter about the game. That stadium needs to be turned into a cauldron every single game. I think it's just, you can't sit there and go, it's hard to get up for Burnley and then ridicule the players for losing to Burnley. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to get up for the game as well, you know, and the crowd has a massive part to play in this. And I think Spurs, I think we at Spurs, we need to understand that. Look, I know Liverpool have been going for the quadruple and all this sort of bullshit, which we ruined, by the way. But, well, it's not the quadruple, it's triple now, which is great. And they probably are walking alone. But what I will say is is that, like, you know, in fairness to them, their stadium is rocking nearly every single game. You know,
I massively disagree with that statement.
It is.
It's not. No, it's
It
not,
is.
mate. I've seen, like, if you actually watch it, they are wild and out of control for the "You'll Never Walk Alone," and then they sit there and it's like prawn sandwiches until they score a goal.
But Dave, that's what I also said on my point.
It's
is
not true, mate, about
Liverpool Watford, a 12:30 kickoff the other day. You go back and watch the highlights. I thought it was like you know, Masters football. Like there was no one actually cheering. Might have had a "You Never Walk Alone" at the start, but honestly, it was like you could hear a pin drop. I promise you, it was awful.
It's the same for most games. My best mate's a season ticket holder, or one of my best mates is a season ticket holder at Anfield, and he says, yeah, like we sing the "You Never Walk Alone" thing, and then it's literally no cheering, no noise at all. A little bit of like energy when we get a chance, but until we score a goal, there's no songs that are sung. Unless you're playing Everton or United or Man City or whatever, a big game. But
why can't we be different? Why can't we be the trendsetters? Why can't we be different?
I'm not saying we can't, but
to be fair,
just disagree with your point that Liverpool, you said Liverpool do it, they don't do it.
But they're probably one of the noisiest in the Premier League. Celtic, another example.
Newcastle would be the noisiest, wouldn't they?
Club up in Scotland. Well, I mean, they've been quiet for years. They couldn't even sell out the stadium for years. But like you look up Celtic up north. I mean, that stadium's rocking all the time. You look at some of the stadiums across Europe. No matter the game, their fans are in the stadium bouncing. I mean, why can't we replicate that in the Premier League? Why can't we show our passion? Why can't we do it? You know, for me, I think there's no point of having a massive stadium like that and not use the best out of it. I mean, they designed it to be able to make, when you sing, for the noise to echo around. Every single fan went in that, you know, to make it the best in the world. Now the fans have to bring the best atmosphere in the world, in my opinion. I think we have to. I mean, look,
I agree with you in principle. I wish we were the noisiest.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Is I think we all agree with you in principle, Dave. It's just we're kind of maybe when the atmosphere and if the atmosphere isn't nearly as good, there are sort of maybe explanatory factors. While I think I agree with you in principle, there are
let's be honest,
explanatory
factors. Beer is an excuse. People can buy cans in the off license the night before. You don't have to have beer to have a sing song in the stand. You just don't. You do not have to have.
It makes a difference. It does make a difference.
It's an excuse.
Also, the south stand at Tottenham, that one tier, that is generally loud all the time. But the west stand is usually, you know, prawn sandwiches and champagne before the game. The north stand is generally the family stand, and the east stand is a blend. But like on Thursday night, I was in the north stand, and I was like, I'd rather be in the south. But actually, where I was sat, I was deafening. I was shouting at my camera to try and hear myself think. Must have been awful for people around me, but the north stand was madness. I can't even imagine what the south stand was like. James, what stand were you in, mate?
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I was in the Shell side, East Upper, East Upper, and I'm pretty sure most of the time, I think some of them stand, but like half of the stand was standing in the East Upper. And that's what I mean. It's just different. Like I was thinking, I'm about to sit down, and everyone in front of me was stood up. I was like, all right, you know, I'll stand up and for the whole game, which was great. But I didn't think that would happen. And right, put it this way:
North stand was standing the whole time.
Look at that section tomorrow. I guarantee they're not standing. And I know, Dave, this is helping your point more. But what I'm saying is, let me flip a question on you, Dave. Will you be more up for a game if you've sunk 7 pints before a game 3 hours before kickoff, or if you've had porridge and milk an hour before kickoff?
This is the point, though, James. Dave's more of a purist than us. Dave's more of a purist. The porridge, he'd be singing louder. You know, he'd be singing louder from the porridge if he had the 7 pints. If he had the 7 pints, Dave would be over in the restroom, you know, probably having his head over the toilet. And that's kind of the point. Dave's more of a purist than us, whereas Sean and I think Dave's just pointing out our weakness. You know, Sean and I kind of need the bubbly stuff sometimes before the game to help us out.
I need the bubbly stuff on a podcast.
Kryptonite, John. We have kryptonite. We're weak.
Jack was with me on the build-up to the West Ham game.
Doesn't need a beer. He doesn't need a beer.
I don't need a beer to stand up and sing and show passion for the club. Time in the morning is
could have handed him a radish.
You know, I bet you half the people have arguments at home and they'll be roaring before 10 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, timing's not an excuse. Drink is not an excuse. For me, I just think no matter what game you go to, you should be up standing, applauding and singing the team. I mean, to say, you know, other clubs don't do it, again, for me, is an easy cop-out. I don't see why we can't do it. Why do we have to wait for the clubs to go and do something? Why can't we be the first to do it? I mean, first ones to put the ribbons on the FA Cup. Why can't we be the first ones to create an atmosphere every single game of the season? And that's just where I'm coming from. That's my only point. I do get it. Look, obviously, some people maybe drink helps them come out themselves a bit more, get a bit loosey-goosey. I mean, I'm the same. If I had a drink, I'd be bouncing around, but I just think we should do better in terms of games. I don't think we can sit there and go, the team were flat today, and then go, if you're at the game and you didn't stand up and sing, I mean, well, you're also flat. So, I mean, you pot calling the kettle black here. I mean, so for me, I think we should be up for every single game regardless. But look, we'll move on. Big up Pelly, created a good talking point. Big yourself up for the super chat. Couple more to get to.
We skipped this one. Did you?
No. This one's next. This one's right. So
no, I think
this one's right on
This one was before Ellie's. This one was before Ellie's, I believe. I looked up. This one was before Ellie's. I think we might have skipped this one.
Oh, okay.
From Wayne. And it's just, and he's just saying, if Dyche was in charge, I'd worry 6-0 Spurs. You might say that probably if Dyche was still in charge, that line might be a bit deeper, could be, a bit further back, probably Wayne. And someone has told me that, I think his name is Mark Jackson or Mike Jackson, the new manager there. He seems to be a bit more progressive than Sean Dyche, which could probably help us, in fact, Wayne Bonner. But 6-0 Spurs, I guess. I don't know. Like it. I like it, Wayne. Like it, my man.
Look, Wayno. I mean, look, we're going to talk about this next. It's going to be hard. Like, can the team show the same energy that they did from that Arsenal game in less than 72 hours turnaround? I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. I think tomorrow's probably going to be a tricky one to predict. You just don't know what team you're going to see, and there's many variables to this game. But Wayno, I love the optimism, and then look. Hopefully we can win this. I'm actually more nervous about this than I was the North London Derby, Wayno. But big yourself up.
Way. Really?
Yeah, I am.
Seriously?
Yeah, I am too.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. And look, we'll get on to it in a minute. I'll just take these super chats, but I'll tell you why now in a minute. Dark Sun G says there is no way Conte will lose to Mike Jackson, interim manager. Maybe he might lose to Michael Jackson, but not him. We lost to them in February. Look, I didn't think we were going to lose to them in February, Dark Sun G, but we did, my man. Look. One thing for sure is Mike Jackson should not be out tacticing Conte tomorrow. Should just not happen, to be honest with you. Should be rolled out a bit like what we done to Arteta, just out tactic him, outsmart him with a game plan, and then that should take you all the way to the end line, my man. But look, I agree with you. I don't think there's any way Mike Johnson does. But I'll tell you why in a minute, why I'm a bit nervous though, Dark Sun G. I will, my man. But big up, really appreciate the support, brother. The Bolton Dude says Conte has been a winner. The difference is we see the players showing desire now, winning the second ball, showing that desire to win a challenge. And that's the biggest thing. And I mean, look, the Bolton Dude, we are going to talk about this when it comes to Steven Bergwijn, because it is going to lead to a bit of a talking point. I have a feeling I'll probably be sitting on my own in the corner on this one, to be honest with you, with my opinion on it. But look, the Bolton Dude, for me, I think Antonio Conte sent a clear message in January. You're not going to pull your weight. You don't have the right attitude. You're not going to apply yourself right in training. I don't care whether we spent 60 million on you. I don't care whether you were part of the squad that got us to a Champions League final. And I don't care if you have a reputation with Argentina. You're fucking out of here. And for me, once you see that happening, how quick we were to do it rather than what we were under Steve Hitchin, it makes players buck up their ideas very, very quickly. And to get them out, it just means that there's no one in training acting the date bar Steven Bergwijn. That's causing a problem. So everyone's pulling in the one direction. And that's why you're seeing us, making them extra yards to win the second ball, show that desire to win that challenge, because they know they'll be out here like a hot snot. So you either want to play for Tottenham and put in the required effort to do so, or you're gone. And it doesn't matter whether you put dreads in your hair or whether you want to do. It doesn't matter. If you're not going to put it in on the football pitch, you can change whatever appearance you want. You're not going to put it on the football pitch. You're fucking out of here. And that's the way it should be. We are a massive football club. For me, we've been a sleeping giant now for years, and we don't win near enough trophies. And in order to win trophies, you have to bring in a culture like Conte where everybody has to be at it. You have to have a good attitude. A bit like what Klopp has done with Liverpool. Everybody has a good attitude. Everybody's happy to be there, playing or not. Everyone puts their all in, and that's what we need to do at Tottenham Hotspur, the bottom do it. I couldn't agree more, my man. Big yourself up. Really appreciate the support, brother. Tottenham Gold says, telling you lads, third place is on. Big up, James. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, I think Chelsea's next game is Watford. I mean, look, I'll be honest, I find it hard to see Watford turn them over. What I will say is Musa Sissoko scores. Watford deserve to win, Dermot, to be honest with you, because that guy, I mean, he just can't hit the target. He probably can't even spell target either. So, I mean, I just don't expect Watford to get anything out of Chelsea, though, Dermot. But look, again, I love the optimism. Look, I'll take 4 and I'm out. I'm happy. Third is just a bonus to me. But look, guys, what I want to do now,
just ever so quickly. Do you think that Dermot's optimism is a little bit drawn in the fact that if it doesn't happen, he's got to get Tottenham on tour tatted on somewhere on his body? I love you, Dermot. I hope you're well, bro. But I do think a little bit about that third place optimism is the panic that you have.
Wait, what's that? What's the bet?
He had a bet with Brian Daigle that if Tottenham finish third, Brian's got to get Tottenham Tantrum Gold tattooed on his body, and if Tottenham finish fourth, then Dermot has to get Tottenham on tour tattooed on
he's
Dermot's
fucked
body.
He's got Tottenham on tour on his body. Enjoy that, Dermot.
I don't know why you done it to it. I think he must like the pain from the tattoo. I'm not sure. But
which font do you think is more painful? I would say a Times New
Arial
Roman
Sand. Arial Sands, I think.
Arial Sand.
It's got the little flick. It's got the little flick at the end of the capitals. I think
Kari script is kind of naturally kind of boldened, so they have to dig in, a bit more there. So Dermot, I pick whatever font is less painful, my man. So something that's a bit lighter on the skin, my man. Big yourself up.
What about fifth then? What happens if it's fifth? Do they both have to get Europa League tattooed on them or something?
No, I think it's just a straight third or fourth bet. But,
Interesting.
Awful.
Well, Dermot, I don't know why you've done it to yourself. I just don't know why you've done it.
That's awful.
I mean, I love optimism. I mean, I'm all for optimism, believe me. But I just don't know how you could see that one coming, Dermot. I just don't know how you could see third coming.
And it wasn't like the bet was made in March, as far as I'm aware. It wasn't like it was way back.
Stop, Sean. It gets even worse. It's giving me a headache. I mean, thank God there's not a mortgage on it. Thank God there's not a mortgage, Dermot. But big up, though, Dermot.
Big up, Dermot.
I love the optimism.
That's the best thing I've heard today, honestly.
But Dark Sun G says, why would Conte want to leave with world-class Son, Kane, Kulu, Bentancur, Cutie, Pierman, Højbjerg, and Lloris? They are great players in training and die for the badge. Session and Dyer are middle class. I mean, I love the way he's separating them into, classes. I love that, Dark Sun G. We'll definitely do something like that at the end of the season. But I mean, Jack, anything you want to say, Dark Sun G here? Why would Conte want to leave when he's building a team of class players?
I mean, that's a fair point, actually, because, even when he was over at Inter Milan, what did he really have, in terms of world-class players? Maybe apart from, I guess, Lukaku, he sort of turned into, world-class at the time. Lautaro Martinez, I don't really think is world-class yet. And so when you kind of look at things, if he were to move to another club, another league, maybe bar PSG, how many world-class players does he really have to work with? And that's when probably keeping him, over at Spurs and keeping him in the Premier League. And when you're over in the Premier League, you do probably have a better chance of working with the highest quality players in the world. And you probably have the best assembled squads, in the world as well in the Premier League. So if Antonio Conte wants to compete with the best and play with the best, then he's going to have to stay over here, Dark Sun G, and he's probably going to need to upgrade maybe a bit on some of those middle-class players. But those middle-class players have probably done a job for us and maybe deserve a spot in some cases next season. Big up, Dark Sun G.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Look, there's definitely players you'd keep around as backup that can come in League Cups. Well, I don't know. Look, I'm going to have to go away and think I'll feel on this, actually, Dark Sun G. You have to spark a thought-provoking moment, because to be fair, when Davies and Dyer were doing that job, they were shit at it. So, I mean, they've had a good season this season because they've been playing every week, but can they go back to be able to come in and dip in and out? I mean, look, where we're at right now, without Look, we're not going to get in 15 players this window, so I mean, they probably will have to stick around. But it'd be interesting to see, though, Dark Song G. Big yourself up, brother. I really appreciate the support. But, boys, it is a very quick turnaround. Thursday night to Sunday at noon. It's less than 72 hours to recover from the North London Derby win. Can we physically produce another high-energy performance, or should we be concerned about fatigue, maybe a slow start? Because the North London Derby wins means nothing if we don't back it up with a win here.
Yeah, definitely. In answer to your first point about can we produce a high energy performance? I do think we can, and I know it's a quick turnaround, and the league have messed us over, or technically Arsenal messed us over by pretending they had COVID when they didn't. I loved Conte coming out, by the way, and saying don't know why the game was cancelled, but I think we can. Like, listen, they're professional. I had this discussion with someone the other day. They're professional footballers, right? And I understand fatigue. I understand it's been a long season. I understand we had the Euros, so they technically did have a proper summer break, right? The players have played a lot of minutes, but, guys, they are professional footballers. They have the biggest, like, the most amount of fitness out of, like, your average Joe person. They've got ridiculous medical team. I'll let you guys debate on that one, but like, they have fitness instructors, coaching teams, nutritionists, like, the list goes on, right? These guys are as fit as a fiddle. Can they play 2 games in 3 days? Not every week, but have they played 2 games in a week recently? I don't think so. But the point I'm trying to make is, I don't want to hear tomorrow, if we slip up, oh, well, we played on Thursday night and we've only had 72 hours to prepare, or 40 hours to prepare. I don't want to hear that. I really don't want to hear that. Like, and the other thing is, our squad doesn't help this. And like you said earlier, Dave, the squad is so thin. It's getting to the end of the season. We've got like 4 or 5 youth players on the bench. And that, all you have to look at there, without sounding like Brian Daigle, is the board. Because why we don't have options off the bench, the only reason for that is because we haven't invested in a squad, right? We're happy with an 11 and that's it. And we're not even fully happy with that, are we? So without going off on one, guys, I'm saying that there's no excuse for the fitness excuse tomorrow. I think we'll start slow as we always do, because we did against Arsenal anyway. But I just think Burnley tomorrow, no excuses. Let's just get the job done.
Yeah, 100%. Sean, Jack, anything you want to add on that?
I think he honestly hit it really well there, and I've been kind of a blabbermouth today. So, Sean, if you want to add anything to it, I think, James, probably just knocked that out of the park there, unless you feel like you have something to add to it.
I don't agree entirely with what James said about the fact that the squad is always.
Then make it juicy. Tell us why, Sean. Don't be so quiet. Come on.
Well, because I don't always think that. I think that this nonsense narrative about the board is responsible for all of Tottenham's ails is always the go-to boogeyman. I get bored of it. Like, it's such a boring thing where everyone just finds like, whatever's wrong with Tottenham, let's just go to the guy that we can all throw our mud at. We do have a squad of players. You're allowed to have 25 people in your squad. We have 25 first team players. The people on the people that were on the bench, Davinson Sanchez, for example, that's been on the bench the entire season, cost 42 million quid. Right? Giovanni Lo Celso, that was on the bench before he went out on loan. Hang on, hold up.
Sorry.
40 million quid. Ndombele out on loan, 65 million quid. This idea that the board haven't invested in a squad, they invested badly, but that's not on the board. It's not the board. I've said this a million times. It's not for the people in the director's box to figure out whether Ndombele was the right money to spend. He has to trust the people that advised on that stuff. Like, we are at the position now where we've got a few injuries. But every single squad has looked to their youth to put on. Liverpool have people in their youth team that make it to their bench every time. You wouldn't complain about, like, Liverpool's squad selection. Yes, we've had a couple of injuries late in the season. Yes, we've had and yes, we've invested really badly. But we do have a squad of players. They're not good enough, and I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that we don't need to improve.
Yeah.
But to make the argument that we don't have a squad, I think is insane. And to make the second argument that fatigue isn't an excuse, it's not an excuse, but it can be an explanation. Playing first on a Sunday, 12:30 after playing late on a Thursday night, that does have an impact. You'd much rather play 4:30 on a Sunday or play Monday night like Arsenal are doing. Arsenal do have an advantage by us playing first on the Sunday and Arsenal playing at 8 o'clock. I'm not saying that if we lose, that's the excuse we go to, but to say that doesn't have any impact is also something I don't agree with.
Okay, Sean, right. You mentioned, I'm going to go off on it. You mentioned Liverpool, right? And about their youth on the bench and, people aren't comparing with that, right? But hang on, Sean, right? Okay, let me just read you out Liverpool's bench today, okay? Jota, Firmino, Gomez, Jones, Kelleher, Matip, Milner, Origi, Tsimikas. They are all brilliant players. Some are world class.
They didn't spend very much on those players, though, James. That's the point. Is what maybe Sean is saying is
we have spent money. We spent a lot of money. We spent a lot of money badly.
But why haven't we spent more? Why haven't we spent more to get more players on the bench with a better squad depth? There's no excuse for that. There's not excuses. There's explanations,
such as COVID, such as an empty stadium for 12 months, such as £750 million debt from a stadium that we've already paid £250 million of, such as not having Champions League revenue, such as not getting the prize money from winning or going deep into every single cup competition. Liverpool are, someone that they don't necessarily play by the same rules as Man City, Chelsea, United, where they overpay on salaries. They structure their players' compensation or remuneration in different ways, where they kind of stick to a wage structure but facilitate and compensate highly on performance-related pay, which is something I actually endorse and think that Tottenham should do more of. But you're using Liverpool because I use Liverpool as an example. I just picked Liverpool as if there are squad players. There are every single team in the Premier League have gone to their youth to facilitate certain names on the substitutes bench throughout the season. Liverpool have invested well, and you could point to a few other clubs that have got better scout networks and stuff. But to say that Tottenham haven't invested is absolute madness, James. It's madness. It's a complete it's a nothing burger as an argument.
Okay, but I see what you're saying. But also, should we have invested more? Should we have 2 to 3 more players that we can rely on off the bench? Or are you saying, okay, let's go with what you're saying. Some teams have relied on their youth. They've had to go to their youth, right? But let me flip the question. Is our youth good enough to be starting Premier League games at this moment in time? Dane Scarlett, Harvey White, the list goes on. Are they good enough to start Premier League games?
No.
Are Liverpool's, are Chelsea's, some of their youth players good enough to start games?
Possibly, probably.
So in that case, if we know that is the answer, why haven't we invested more to get more players for the bench? Because in football, you need the bench. You have to use a bench.
So you weren't happy with the January transfer window? Because I could point to you saying directly on several podcasts at the time that you were very happy and you gave it an 8 out of 10. I
actually gave it a 6 out of 10 and I regret not giving it a higher. But what I'm saying is we're depleted to the end. If we had a few more games, right, we would be fucked because players are dropping like flies. Romero's out, Reguilon's out, and it's getting to that point where we're desperate for the preseason to get these players back and then to invest, right? But what I'm saying is we are still 2 or 3 players short on the bench compared to other teams.
Yeah,
and that's a fact. But you can't say that's you can't look at the board. I know what you're saying. You've got to look at the scouting network and to get talent. And
I'm not saying you can't look at the board. All I said was I get bored of the argument that Daniel Levy is responsible for everything that's ever wrong with Tottenham.
He's not the only man. He's not the only man responsible, but he's certainly part of the equation.
Yeah, of course he's part of the equation. Of course he's part of the equation, but he's also never given any credit for anything that's right about Tottenham ever. We're fighting for 4th spot in a season where at the start of the season no one would have given us a cat's hope in hell of getting there. Yet no one's saying anything like, oh, actually, you know what? For all the things that Daniel Levy's done wrong, if you're gonna throw that mud at him, even though he's got nothing to do with things that happen on the pitch directly, indirectly he does. He therefore indirectly has everything to do with everything that's good about Tottenham. And people that go straight to the board all the time, it's a lazy argument. That's all I'm saying. It's a lazy argument.
Well, look, You know, there you are. Fiery debate on Daniel Levy, which I did not, count for today, but I'm more than happy to let it go because I love listening to it. But look, Adrian Chia with the super chat says, "Big up, lads. Are trumpets and drums still allowed in the stadiums? Growing up, I remember and hearing drums and trumpets playing during matches." I mean, Sean, James, you probably know more about this than myself or Jack.
There was always a drum that back at White Hart Lane. There was always this guy who sat in the southeast corner, and he had this flag that was overhanging this yellow thing, and he would just sit there and bang the drum, and it would like, and everyone would shout "Yids." He hasn't been around for since we moved into the new stadium, so I don't know if there's a change in policy around whether or not we cannot have it. But you know what? There was flares last night and stuff, so I'd imagine if you had a trumpet and a drum, Dave, you remember when we went into the stadium, your small little rucksack got checked before you had to put that into a locker.
It's the same size rucksack.
Your mate got through, but you didn't. But you have to put your rucksack in a locker. So I think if you bring anything bulky in, you're probably going to get told no, which is why maybe Adrian, I don't know if they're allowed in stadiums, but maybe not.
I want to see more flare stuff for sure.
It's a weird one, though. I got to say, and I don't know if anyone else had this experience that was at the game, but normally when I go to the stadium, I'll get, you go through those, I can't remember what they're called. They're like security gates you see at the airport where you go through and it bleeps if you've got if you bleeps if you've got a knife on you or something, right? And it says take your wallet and keys out. I never do, so it should bleep for that, but it doesn't. So God knows how accurate it actually is. The second thing is normally I get searched down, patted down to see if you've got something on you. For the Arsenal game, I saw no one got patted down. I don't know why. Surely that was the game you should do that for. So I don't know if you guys remember that kind of video that went around about 4 or 5 years ago at White Hart Lane. They got that guy patting people down and not actually looking again. Maybe they've got him back. But I just think the flares aren't allowed. The flares definitely aren't allowed, but they just didn't do a very good job on security the other day for sure. But
look, if drums and trumpets aren't allowed, then you just get a drone and fly them in. I mean, it's 21st century, and why can't that be done? Just airdrop them in, no problem. Someone will be able to catch it and get it up to who it's intended for. But look, even if they're not, you can, get the flares in there. Get the flares in there, Let's have a party. But big up Adrian Chia on that. I really appreciate the support, brother. Jack, anything you want to say on that?
I'm pretty sure Ellie at one stage said that she couldn't bring in a banner that was too big or something. Even the banners have to be proportionally sized, which would make me think if they're, bringing out a ruler and tape measure for the banners, make me think that maybe the drums and things like that and the horns and whatnot might not be available or allowed anymore. And it's kind of a shame, Adrian, because to be fair, if you go to every other European kind of match, especially outside of the English pyramid, very much a main fixture in a lot of stadiums. And I guess the one team that comes to mind when I think about it, Adrian, is Crystal Palace. Don't they have some guy that's always banging a drum over his cellars? So yeah. So Adrian, it's not as common. I just don't think the drum is as common, I think, in the English Premier League, actually, Adrian.
That Palace guy is so annoying. I remember I went to Tottenham Palace and Son didn't score till 75 minutes. Took Tottenham 75 minutes to score, and that guy was just banging all the way up until then. I wanted to walk around and strangle the fucker. It's not good when the team's not playing well. All you hear is that idiot.
But Dave, going back to your your debate about there's no excuse for the fans getting going. Palace get their fans going. Every single home game is probably one of the best atmospheres in the Prem, and they have a drum. So obviously you joke about it and you want to strangle him, but that proves it does get the fans going. So maybe
it pissed me off because it was him dancing around in our stadium doing it rather than someone in our stadium who supports them doing it, and that's what pissed me off, my man. Honestly, I felt
James makes a good point though, and if it annoys everybody on the away side. And it riles them up because Crystal Palace do have one of the best home support. So let's get him back. And people in the comments are saying the drummer guy, who obviously they know who I'm talking about when I said the drummer fella. He's getting invited back with his drum. So that'll be good next season, hopefully. Special
invite. I love that. I need to pick up the triangle. I might get one myself. Dark Sun G says
triangle.
Dark Sun G says Blues play Leicester today before Watford for match day 38. Play Leicester. Yeah, look, I still think they'll get over Watford, though, at the end of the day. I mean, I think we need them to lose kind of both games for us to catch them, though, Dark Song G. I just don't see it being possible, my man. Look, Leicester might turn them over, but they'll beat Watford for sure. I'd be very surprised. I'll probably have egg on my face, but I'll be very surprised. But look, guys, I do want to start getting into talking about central of defence, and it's about Romero. Look, Romero, obviously, well, there's no point of even asking people, how much of a blow it is, because we all know it's huge. I mean, I just expect people to call me Captain Obvious. But what I will say is, Romero is not only important for us defensively, but he also contributes a lot going forward. With his passing, he helps us build out from the back, but he can also run with the ball and play out of trouble. Is Davinson Sanchez capable of providing us what Romero has been giving us going forward? Because even against these low block teams, Romero being able to pass into the forward lines has been absolutely crucial. Does Davinson Sanchez have the ability to do that?
You asking again, Dave?
Anyone. I'm enthusiastic about this question. Do you want me to move on?
No, I didn't know who it was. I
thought it was the Jack.
Potentially he doesn't. Or no, potentially he does, but he really doesn't. In the last game, you would make the argument that he does, because his stats were actually quite incredible. And when you rewatch the game, you can actually see some of the passes that Sanchez was playing and some of the moves that he was making that were kind of similar to something that Romero would have done in the same sort of position. The big problem, though, is that in a game like the North London Derby, can you read too much into that? Because I feel like certain players, no matter how bad or good they may be, might just be playing out of their skin. And when it comes up to a game like Burnley, I think that's when their true colors probably show. And I feel like that's kind of the worry for me with Davinson Sanchez there, Dave, is that someone like him, can he really get the ball under control in one touch and then pass it, into Harry Kane's feet like Romero does, all within like 2 touches? Probably not. Can he actually, carry the ball forward without, touching it 10 yards in front of him, at one stage and losing the ball? Probably not. He can make a lot of mistakes that Romero wouldn't in possession. And I know some people feel like they get frustrated because Romero loses the ball, in certain situations that maybe he shouldn't. That's just because he's taking the risks that need to be taken in order for us to get the ball out of the back three and out of possession up the field more. Whereas with Sanchez, Dave, you're more worried about whether he can even get the ball under control at times. But he did have a really good game against Arsenal. And I know it was against 10 men for the majority of the game, but the signs were there that maybe he at least knows what he's supposed to be doing from that right-sided center back position. Like he's supposed to be doing what Romero has been doing in possession. So maybe that's my hope, Dave, is that he knows what he's supposed to be doing. And that's the most we can hope for.
I'd like to expand on Jack's point. I have no hope for Davinson Sanchez. I think the guy genuinely cannot dribble with a football. I watched him, obviously the whole game, but the first 15 minutes when we were under pressure from Arsenal, I think you mentioned it, Dave. He sort of started running to the right-hand side towards the east stand, and he's running. I'm like, release it. Even if you have to boot out for a throw, and he's still dribbling. I'm thinking, what is this guy doing? And I know that's only one example, so maybe harsh. He had a pretty solid game. Like Jack said, it was against 10 men. But watching Davinson Sanchez when he was getting those runner games, especially under Mourinho, when he got that ball, he never releases it quick enough. He always takes 1 or 2 touches too many, and he was doing it at the start of this year as well. Before, actually, it was when Romero was injured, if you remember. Yeah. And he was like taking these 2 or 3 touches out of defense, like almost skipping out, like a bit like I remember, like Ledley King used to do. And I'm sat there thinking, like, please release the ball earlier. That is the key. He takes 1 or 2 touches too many, and we'll probably see it once tomorrow. And you guys will remember me saying, "Oh yeah, Davinson Sanchez takes too long. He thinks he's got like all the time in the world. It's probably like he's Colombian kind of South American attitude. Like, yeah, man, like just dribble it out. You can't do that in the Premier League. You have not much time on the ball, and that's what frustrates me the most about Davinson Sanchez. Whereas Romero, he's head up. He's always looking for the pass. That's the difference. Davinson Sanchez is too busy, got his eyes on the ball because he needs that focus to be able to control the football.
So then, Sean, off what Jack and James are saying, too, sort of coming from different angles, which is interesting. But, I mean, look, Romero's been a massive part of being able to find them balls and help building up from the back. So should we be concerned that we might not be able to see that tomorrow then? If Davinson Sanchez doesn't have the ability? Because, look, I agree with Jack. Look, there are moments where he did play good passes into Harry Kane's feet and stuff like that, but I do think he had an awful lot of time because they were reduced to 10 men. But I also agree with James.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy wouldn't dribble if fucking Cardi B was naked in front of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think you need to adapt, right? And you need to put a little bit more responsibility on other players. If you can't look to Romero because he's not there, and you can't rely on Sanchez, then I also think that for what it's worth, depending on what happens with Kulusevski, we might be pretty depleted down the right hand side anyway. So you might even find like Eric Dyer, starting to drift across the back three. If he gets the ball, you might find him like almost hugging a little bit more towards the right hand side, and then doing the pings himself. Or Ben Davies taking up more of the slack. Ben Davies has got a decent long ball on him, to be fair. And Ben Davies, for what it's worth, I thought was I thought he was phenomenal. I think he has been phenomenal I think he's really stepped up. So I just think you have to adapt. Yes, I think Sanchez doesn't have it in him to do the long balls. I do think that he, if needs be, Harry Kane can drop deep, whatever, and Sanchez can try and ping it in low to him. It's a little bit of an easier task for him to do. Or we just rely on other people in the back three if we still have to go down this long, the long pass. Or even look for Hugo Lloris to be a bit better with his distribution. Because actually Hugo Lloris's distribution has been improving. It's not something I've ever said about Hugo Lloris. I think he's a fantastic shot stopper, but pretty much every other aspect of his game, apart from his shot stopping, I've been a critic of. I don't think he's very good. I didn't think he was very good coming and claiming balls. I don't think he's very good with his position. I don't think he's very good with his distribution. But in the last month, he's been coming and collecting crosses. He's been distributing the ball superbly, and his leadership all round has been improving. So I feel like there's other players that if you can't rely on Sanchez, okay, recognize it, acknowledge it, adapt. And like I said, any of those 3 or 4 different tactical pivots can be employed. Yeah, I don't think you should be relying on Sanchez, but I don't think it's going to hurt us too much tomorrow.
I agree with you. I mean, look, we've seen Davies do it a number of times into Sonny's feet down the left hand side. So I mean, I agree with you. Maybe we could just start going down that side. We'll wait and see. The bottom do it says, do you think Joe Roden will come on tomorrow? Maybe late in the game. I mean, look, if we're probably 2-3-0 up, there's probably a potential there. I was actually surprised to see him, in the North London Derby. I mean, I'll be honest, I probably forgot all about Roden. I mean,
I thought he did well.
23, so yeah, he did. He done grand when he come on. I mean, honestly, Sean, you could have put me out there after eating a doner kebab 3-0 up, and I would have done well. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he made no mistakes though, right? So it is what it is. He didn't have necessarily a challenge, but he was good in the air. So did okay.
I'm more proud that he exists, to be fair. The fact that, in fact, you can, the fact that Joe Roden is a human footballer that you can bring off the bench, onto the team is, nice to see, because at one stage it felt like, Dave, maybe he was a figment of my imagination. I've said this before about Sessegnon at once, because we had gone so long without seeing the guy, and some Spurs fans had rated really highly. Kind of similar story with Joe Roden, and it's just nice to see, Dave, that he still exists.
No, it was. And look, for me, he's a gunner anyway this summer, but it was nice to see that he still exists. I get your point, Shawnee, but that's like me building a house and you just kind of said, putting a doorknob on, putting a knocker on the door and saying, oh, no, I don't well. I mean, the result's already done. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Yeah, fair enough. But he came on, and I'm just saying, I'm not saying let's give him a 9 out of 10 and start saying Roden should stay. I'm just saying he didn't fuck up. So
yeah.
That doorknob is the first impression, though, Dave. That doorknob is the first impression, though. So I wouldn't.
It's the first thing you touch when you walk into the house.
The first thing you touch when it comes to that house, Dave.
True. But look, I also do agree with Jack. It was nice to see him doing well, and nice to see him get a run out for sure. Right, so G says blame ratio for depth. In my opinion, Levy 3, 4, 6 to 7 Hitchens. That's on G, not bringing it back up again. Stop it, my man. Look, I see both sides of the argument. Look, for me, where I sit on it, and I've said this a number of times, I do believe that there's been money thrown at. There's been 350 million thrown at under Steve Hitchen. There is an element to that, that we've just spent shit and we are being punished for it. But there's also no excuses, and I get the stadium and stuff like that, but a lot of Levy's timing or Enoch's timing has been poor on things. You know, when the squad was just getting to the very best we had, you're looking at one more transfer window, go. Maybe delay the stadium a season or something like that. I mean, you know, the guy taking a bonus for delivering a stadium late. You know, it's little things like that where he doesn't help himself. Look, there's definitely a case in both arguments, you know, and it's just about picking through both sides and just bringing it all together. But there's definitely a case for both. There's a lot of things that Levy and Enoch have done wrong, but they have put money into the club. It's just Steve Hitchin. I don't know why he keeps getting a free pass from everybody. Nobody really talks about the guy, but he was brought in to spend the money and he spent it shit. So, but big up there, Derek Sunji. Really appreciate the support, brother. And then we have Richard Blackdog. Big up, my man. Really appreciate the support, lad. He says, win tomorrow, Sun to get golden boot and Newcastle to beat the Woolwich Wankers. Early game tomorrow, but I think Burnley having a 4-hour trip on top will be too much for them. Big up, boys. Well, my man, a lot to go through. Look, I suppose we'll start the conversation then on Sunny. You know, which I did have for us. So you're progressing me along very nicely, Mr. Black Dog. But look, you know, no, we'll start on Sunny. We'll take the first part of the super chat, my man. We break it down in proportions. That's what we'll do. So, guys, how do you think Son will react tomorrow after seeing his reaction after being taken off in the North London derby? You could see he was clearly desperate for more goals, and of course, you know, he's only one goal off more Salad now, who got injured today, so he might not feature in the last couple of games. You know, for that gold boot. And to be honest with you, we need him in the right frame of mind, as he's been crucial lately. Son has been involved in 6 goals in the last 3 league matches. That's 4 goals and 2 assists, and was the catalyst for the win in the North London derby. So, I mean, guys, any of you want to answer, Richard and myself here?
I can go quick if you want. I think that Sonny's going to... I love the fact that Sonny was pissed off. I understand why Conte did it. And it's nice to keep fresh legs. I loved Sonny's reaction. Love seeing that, because I've never seen Sonny be angry or like wound up before. And he's going to come out and in my mind, he's going to absolutely... I think he'll win the Golden Boot by 2 clear goals. I think he's going to get 3 goals, maybe even 4 goals before the end of the season. And I think he'll get 2 tomorrow against Burnley. I think we're going to win 2-0 and he'll get both of them. And I think he's going to do that because he's going to be pissed off a little bit with Conte bringing him off. I know he'll understand the rationale, but he'll be desperate to get it. I think you might see a bit more of a selfish Sonny tomorrow. I think if he gets the ball, you're going to see him like Kane on his hat-trick. You know, he's taking pot shots from 25 yards against Arsenal. I think you're going to see Sonny being a bit more selfish. But if there's one player in the Tottenham side, or if there's 2 players in the Tottenham side that I don't mind being selfish, Sonny's one of them. And so I think it made sense what Conte did, and I think Sonny will get the Golden Boot quite comfortably. And I think he's going to get 2 tomorrow.
Interesting. I mean, Jack, do you share Sean's opinion and Richard Blackdog here, where he says Son will get the Golden Boot? Do you think maybe Conte taking him off was perhaps, obviously, look, I thought because he missed that big chance, that's why he didn't stay on the field, but maybe a bit of 5D chess towards it, Jack, that, okay, I'll take him off. He has something to hunt for, wind him up, and that'll guarantee at least one of my front players will be in form for Burnley.
That is even more 5D chess for me, Dave. I mean, that has just blew my mind there. If that was the case, honestly, credit to Conte, because I could see that working out. Richard, in my eyes, he's already the top scorer. I mean, he has the most non-penalty goals. And I feel like, you know, penalties is, you know, as important as it is to have a penalty taker, they do really heavily influence, you know, the goal stats for a lot of people. People at one stage were saying, you know, when we should have brought in Kessié, they were saying, look, and he can score goals. And it was like 12 of his goals of his 13 were like penalties or something. So it showed that, you know, the guy couldn't score a goal from open play if he tried. So in my case, Richard, I think he's already going to win the Golden Boot in a legit way. But if he doesn't win it, in my eyes, he already is the winner. And then also in the case of, you know, Sonny maybe being pulled off early, I think you just have to pull off one of those strikers early because, to be honest, 3-0 up, you just have to. I mean, as much as you want to have the individual accolades, like we have to consider this Burnley match. We have to consider we are the last team to play in the most recent Premier League fixtures, and we are the first team to play in this upcoming weekend. So there's just no other way around it. You have to rest players, and they're probably not even going to be that well rested for this upcoming game, Richard, no matter what you can do. So that's my thoughts on it. But he's already the golden boot, my man.
Love it. And James, I mean, where do you stand on it? Do you think some could fall short, or do you think he'll get it? I think he'll get it, and I'm dying for him to get it.
I think he'll get it. Because I think Salah's injured today. And I think I agree with Sean. I think he'll get 2 goals tomorrow. And I think, like you guys have been saying, it's kind of good that he was worked up, a little bit upset about it, but also I think it's quite important because he's going to be like a rat up a drain pipe. He's going to be absolutely raring to go and put things right straight away. And I think he is going to be a bit more selfish tomorrow. I think he is going to have a few little long shots that maybe will go in against who did he score the long shot against recently? It was an absolute banger. Leicester.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a couple of shots from like that range, 25, 30 yards. I think he'll have a couple of goes tomorrow, maybe even get one. Yeah, I just think he'll do it, especially if Salah is injured. I mean, what a shame that is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm loving it, to be honest with you. Poor Salah, absolutely loving it. But look, Richard, Newcastle beat the Woolwich Wankers. I have a feeling, my last feeling coming into North London, went right. So, I mean, hopefully this one goes right. What I will say, if Tottenham win tomorrow, I will be doing a watch along for that game, waiting for the demise. So hopefully it does happen. It's an early game, and Burnley do have a 4-hour trip. I'll be honest with you, they probably travelled up tonight, my man, for that game. I mean, I really don't see them making that trip tomorrow. But look, hopefully, whatever way they get up here, it's been long, and that it does take a bit out of them. They are scrapping for to get out of relegation. I know they have a game in hand on Leeds as well, and they will be looking for a result. But look, I think we'll have too much for them. I agree with you, Richard. At the end of the day, look, we're Tottenham Hotspur. We've got Kane, we've got Son. Potentially, well, we don't know about Kulu. We're going to talk about that now. I have 2 more talking points before we go. But look, I think we will have too much for them, Richard. Big up, my brother, and I really appreciate the support. Guys, 2 more talking points left, so we won't keep you much longer because I know there's probably a bit of boxing or UFC or something on tonight that someone wants to watch.
Ice hockey. Ice hockey's on.
No.
Are you into ice hockey, James?
Yeah, I love it. I actually love it. Best American sport. What is it?
Is that when there were fights, it was good, right? But do the fights happen anymore?
Yeah, that's why I love it as well. They just literally batter each other every 10 minutes. They literally just sometimes they take their headgear off and just smash each other in the face. There was blood on the floor in one of the games the other day. It was absolute carnage. You might as well call it UF ice hockey. That was really shit. But yeah, let's carry on.
Yeah, no,
UIH Ultimate. Yeah, sorry, guys. Sorry.
Well, when it comes to ice hockey, I mean, I did like the series that Amazon done, but I wouldn't be going out my way to watch it. And by the way, the games to make for the consoles for ice hockey is shit as well. But look, moving on, everybody, I
think Dave's a little bit bitter. I think he paid €50 for an Ultimate ice hockey game, and it turned out to be.
I think he lost too bad in something, Sean. I think I think one of his friends, had him over. He said, "Hey, let's play this game." And I think he lost, by a bit too much, and then he
lost a wager as well. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got Ultimate Ice Hockey tattooed on his chest now, like Dermot.
yeah, he had to play with Dermot.
I very rarely lose.
He's actually got Tottenham Tantrum Gold all over his chest. But that's you never see
Look, everybody, 2 talking points left. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and if you have anything you want to get off your chest, put it into the comments now. I see there was a guy from Arsenal in there crying a few minutes ago. Mammy probably took his dinner away from him tonight. That's why he's probably crying as well. But look, at the end of the day, as well, guys, feel free to get your thoughts in with any super chats, especially if you're enjoying the show. It is a massive help. And then channel memberships. We want to see more people with the memberships beside their name. Don't worry, I won't pull you out and call you out. But we do want to create a cult here, and we would prefer everybody to have that badge beside their name. So it'd be awesome if you could get it. But look, last 2 talking points, guys. And the next one is Kulusevski. Still not 100% confirmed if he's in or out tomorrow. You know, we're not sure. But look, if he does miss, I mean, who comes in for Lucas or Bergwijn? And I'm just going to start quickly. No, I'm not actually. I'll let everybody make their points, and then I'll say why I don't want, why Bergwijn probably won't play. So who wants to go first? We start with you.
What's the question? What's the question? Is it who do you think, or who do I want?
Well, probably both. Okay,
who do I want to start? Bergwijn. Who do I think will start? Lucas. And the reason why is because Conte, as we know, has something against Bergwijn. And do you know what? We don't see what happens in training, right? I want to make that point very quickly. Lucas probably works his absolute socks off in training, and Bergwijn probably, maybe, I don't know, it might be a bit harsh. Maybe he doesn't put 100. Maybe he doesn't. Yeah, maybe he doesn't put 100% in. But the reason I say I think Lucas will start is he keeps coming off the bench over Bergwijn. Lucas started, which game was it, against Brighton, was it? No, which game did they all merge into one nowadays? Which game did Lucas start recently? Leicester. And he wasn't great. But I just think he will start Lucas ahead of Bergwijn. And I would like to see Bergwijn because, listen, it's probably going to be his last home game. I think he is going to go in the summer. And I just want him to prove, maybe give him one final chance. I know we've said it for 2 years. Give him that chance. Give him that chance. But why not give him that chance? You know, it's not like it's going to maybe change the dynamic of the game with that position. I think give him a go. He might end up scoring a goal and really, really being positive. And Lucas hasn't been great recently. So I'd start Bergwijn, but he will start Lucas.
Interesting.
I'm going to disagree.
We'll go to you in a minute, Sean. We'll go to you in a minute because I know you have something else you want to say on that. Sean has a big essay on this one. So we'll let Jackie in quickly and then Sean can go on his spree on this one. He's popping. Sean's right.
I think James, I completely see where he has that opinion. But if I were in Conte's shoes, I would disagree entirely. Where if I think we do know what's happening behind the scenes, Stevie B doesn't seem to have a great attitude around, kind of the dressing room, doesn't seem to have a great attitude around the coaching staff, doesn't seem to have a great attitude in terms of what the team wants to achieve and, kind of the whole squad morale in general, perhaps might be a bit more focused on himself, which I can actually understand. I think, he's a young player. He's trying to figure out where his career wants to go. He wants to play more football. He probably deserves more football. That's completely fine. But I think that sort of attitude, that sort of kind of mantra right now is just not what Conte can accept. And especially in these crucial games, he's probably thinking that someone like a Lucas, despite maybe not being in as good a form, hasn't, put up those sort of fits, hasn't had that sort of attitude around the dressing room, and probably then just deserves it more because he hasn't had that kind of, immaturity or whatever it may be. And I think the other thing too that we have to admit is that, I don't know about you guys, but I've kind of gone all over the place with Stevie B. I haven't gone full circle. I've gone full circle. Then I went back around the circle. And then I think, went back to the beginning again, all of a sudden, with him, where I understood where people are coming from, where he doesn't deserve the treatment he gets. And he did deserve more playing time. He did deserve more opportunities. The same time, though, it hasn't exactly been, someone who's been super patient at the same time. He hasn't been, a really patient player either. And he doesn't seem to accept, his situation, which is if you want to get a spot in the starting 11, you need to be the best right winger in the squad. He hasn't been the best right winger in the squad. He's the second best left winger in the squad. And there's something that he doesn't seem to get his head around when it comes to that, like that you're just not going to get ahead of Sonny. The position that's up for grabs is that right winger spot. He hasn't taken his opportunity when it's been given to him for that. And I think in the case of Conte, Dave, that's what he knows. Why would you move Sonny, to the right for Bergwijn when Bergwijn's had a shitty attitude? And I think you just kind of go with Lucas here, even though I think Bergwijn deserves it more based off form, based off ability. I just think he doesn't deserve it based off attitude and based off, squad morale. And if I were the coach, I just wouldn't reward someone like him who's probably had a stinking sort of because I don't know, Dave, there are reports about it. I'm not making this up. There are reports about this. Yeah. He had the Snapchat after the goals that he scored in international break, calling himself precious and, things like that. And I think it's just, I've come full circle with the guy. And then I went back full circle. And so I just feel like I have no patience for him anymore. And I hate to say that.
No, 100%. Look, I kind of side more with Jack on this a little bit. Big up Sharif, Hopefully we see you on the fan show on Tuesday. Good to see you grab that channel membership. Absolutely brilliant. That's what we want to see. Answering the call, my man. Answering Irish's call. That's what we love. And hopefully we see you Tuesday. Same as Lee from the Lane. Big up, my man. I want to see you. I see you.
Is that Lane Lee?
Yeah,
he changed his name. He's changed his name to Lee from the Lane.
Big up Lane Lee.
Big up, my man. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. You're making my day. See that smiles? If everyone wants sees these smiles, just grab the membership. This won't go anywhere. But look, Shawnee,
profile photo too.
Jack was talking about maybe, look, should we be dropping Son for Lucas Bergwijn? I mean, first of all, who do you want to come in? And is there a potential case that maybe move Son to the right and bring in Stevie B?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both James and Jack entirely. I agree with James entirely. I think I would rather see Bergwijn, but I think we'll see Lucas. So
tactically, you'd rather see Bergwijn.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Jack, that Bergwijn's attitude's clearly a problem. It's not just about what we think might happen on the training ground, but he has come out and shown, his visible frustration or audible frustration by doing interviews and things, saying that, he wants to go. So there's a problem with Bergwijn. However, I do think that for me, I would like to see, in keeping with my with my desire to have a manager who keeps teams guessing tactically, I wouldn't mind seeing tomorrow Sonny start on the right and Bergwijn start on the left of a front three. I think Bergwijn is better on the left. I think Sonny has proven this season that he can score more goals or as many goals, but he's actually scored more goals with his left foot than he has with his right.
Yeah, he could cut inside almost and shoot it with his left. You're right, John. Yeah.
Just like Kulusevski does or did. And I feel like it doesn't have to happen at the start, but I feel like you could have a situation where Bergwijn and Sonny are just fluid and just dynamic and just pivot across. Whilst I take everyone's point that Bergwijn's attitude might be poor, I understand it, and to Jack's point, I understand his frustration. I wish he'd keep his mouth shut, wait till the end of the season. He'll get his move anyway. It's his last chance to prove to everyone at Tottenham, in front of the Tottenham crowd, what we missed out on in him. So I'd like to see him play. I think I have a point to prove. And I don't think, as much as I like Lucas, I don't think Lucas has been good enough. But through James, I think, unfortunately, that Conte will be predictable and he will play Lucas on the right-hand side and Bergwijn will be on the bench. And that's
if this were FIFA,
for
FIFA, I'd go Bergwijn. If this were FIFA, I'd go Bergwijn. Tactically, I think, like Sean said, much better than Lucas. Just been much better form. Just clearly has maybe a better chance of scoring or creating something. All the reasons, but it's just something I think I don't know. There's just something about like rewarding, players for, like being a team player and being part of the squad. And I think that's something that means something to Conte.
Just super quickly before you take the bottom due to CCH is in the comments saying, why would you weaken Son? Son is superior in left wing. We don't know that's the case. Like he's always played there.
He almost plays through the middle now anyway.
But I would love. This is the reason why I also suggested early on the phone to Dave that I would like to see Sonny on the right is because if we go and sign someone like Sterling in the summer, or if we go and sign a Lautaro Martinez, or if we sign a Dybala, then at some point next season, if we're going to have this rotational thing, at some point somebody who doesn't typically play anywhere other than left wing is going to need to play on the right wing occasionally. And so I would like to see Sonny experimenting with him on the right just a little bit more. Maybe this isn't the game to experiment. Yeah. I'll take the point on that. I get that. Maybe it's not the point. I think he's more than capable. That's why I'm saying I don't want it to be a fixed, rigid structure of Son on the right. Bergwijn. I'd like to see it fluid, almost like 2 free rolls and see what happens. Could be wrong, but I'd like to see Sonny being able to do both. Ian Robben started out his career on the left, finished on the right, and was better on the right than he was on the left. So, why can't Sonny do the same thing?
There was one stage of football where wingers, they'd be chopped and changed whatever side they started on. You could play on either side. And look, CCH, like Sean's well aware, like why would you he's not that he's not stupid. He knows that Conte is not going to drop Son for Bergwijn. But what he's saying is maybe potentially that there is that option to do that if we wanted to do it. If you're going to bring on Bergwijn and you need, Sean has more confidence in Son doing something on the right than maybe Bergwijn. Why not put Bergwijn in his best position? But look, where I stand on this whole thing, and actually I'm not as so much in the corner as I thought. Look, attitude means something to Conte. Ndombele, Lo Celso, and Dele Alli have more ability than Harry Winks. But Harry Winks stuck around because of his attitude. And it's the same with Bergwijn. But Bergwijn, look, it's been reported he's bad attitude in training. And when that happens, like that's the whole reason why Ali, Ndombele, Lo Celso are out here. He can't be seen to reward that because all it does is show players that are pulling their weight this season that next season, if players do come in and they're in the background, that they can start behaving like that and they'll be rewarded. And at the end of the day, Conte has to set a culture at this club that you can't keep letting players come here, piss about on the training ground, do what they want, throw moods and strops when they want. At the end of the day, when you're investing big money into these guys, you're giving them big wages so they can go out and get their fancy cars and everything else. The least you expect from somebody is to come into the work environment and give it a raw. Anybody that goes and works in a factory for 300 quid a week, they're expected to give it their all when they go in. If they throw strops or tantrums, they're given a disciplinary. We cannot keep awarding players that are stropping and have bad attitudes. You've got to get rid of that culture at Tottenham. If you want to create an environment like City, an environment like Liverpool, and you want to go and challenge for the best trophies, because believe me, it's not just about picking the best 11 players in the world and putting them out there. You have to have a good environment, a good culture, a winning environment, everybody wanting the same thing. And in order to get that, and it helps a lot, it brings you on all these cup runs. It carries you through games and leagues. And at the end of the season, you start getting rewarded with finals appearances and going for the league titles because having that mentality can carry you through games where necessarily you may not have got results before. And that's why, for me, it's important. Look, I get it. Bergwijn is offering more off the bench. But what he does during the week counts. Just because we can't see it. And he thinks he's getting away with it by coming off the bench and putting in performances. Make no mistake about it. The reason why he's doing that is because he wants to keep the interest surrounding him with clubs potentially wanting him. He wants to keep them suitors around. But at the end of the day, for me, look, the guy has had, and it's not just this season. Like we can sit here and say, oh, this season he's been hard done by. But if you take his Tottenham career in the whole, he hasn't been hard done by. He had 30, if not around 20, 30 games under Jose Mourinho. And done absolutely fuck all with it. It was like having two right backs on the right-hand side. It got that bad. Teams were just pressing the left-hand side and leaving them free on the right-hand side. We can't forget that. At the end of the day, if we want to be able to go and win trophies, you got to get rid of these sort of players because they want one thing, and that's the money. And that's not why. We shouldn't have them at the club for this sort of thing, in my opinion. I don't know what other people think of that. Sorry, I just kind of went off there.
That was superb. I can agree much more with that, to be honest with you. And that's why I'm saying he's going to go in the summer, because I think we will get rid of him. Not because he's not a talented player, because we know what he can do, but because of his attitude and the fact that he's clearly an absolute, dosser in training. He doesn't do what he's supposed to do. He doesn't do what he's paid to do. Like you said, if someone in the factory did that, you get sacked. So why is a player that's
Do you think he needs to be like Jack Grealish was, or like a Matt Letizia, like a big fish in a small pond at Aston Villa?
Yeah, I do, Sean. I do
kind
actually.
Like Bergwijn needs to be the superstar in the team. Yeah.
He wants to play a lot of football, though, which is something I do admire about Steven Bergwijn at the end of the day, is that he's not someone that seems to just want to sit there and take the check. He wants to play week in, week out. But the issue is that he doesn't seem to realize that if he does want to play week in, week out, that can't be for a club the size and the competition level of a club like Tottenham Hotspur. It has to go back to Netherlands.
And also, he needs to either he needs to adapt his team, his game to be a bit more team minded, because he gets the ball and he's very good at running at players, but he's a head down. He's like a better version of Lucas Moura with his dribbling or his aggression. But that's why I feel like, Jack Grealish was brilliant at Aston Villa because he knows the ball's always going to come to him. He could go and play for a good Dutch team or for a team wherever else that would rely on him almost entirely to be that creative or that goal scorer or whatever. He can't do that in a team that's the level that we're trying to be at.
Everybody is as good as you.
The perfect
everybody else is as good as you. That's the thing. He has to be the best player in the team. I actually think that's the same thing with Tanguy Ndombele as well. Tanguy Ndombele, the only way he's going to become a superstar again is if he plays for somewhat mediocre team where he's allowed to be the best player in the team and they all just work for him. And I think in the case of Bergwijn here, just the last point is that, yes, like if you're just trying to win this football match, if you're just trying to win this game, you probably play Bergwijn because he is a better option than Lucas. But like Dave said, and I think like I was trying to say as well, I think knowing Conte, you just can't reward something that what Bergwijn's been doing versus what Lucas has been doing. As bad as Lucas has been, I think he clearly has been someone that has been more of a team player. Maybe he is a bit more willing to come off the bench and do his bit part role than someone like Bergwijn. And that's something that Conte is just going to respect and probably reward more than he is going to for the case.
And that's okay too.
But we know that Bergwijn is going to give us a better chance to win. We have a better chance to win if we play Bergwijn. But
I'm not disappointed tomorrow if we see just quickly if we see Lucas Moura on the starting 11 for all the reasons you've just mentioned, guys. I'm okay with that because I'm about the team. I'm about a meritocracy. I'm about hard work. I'm about those things. So for all the reasons you just meant, I actually agree with what you just said, Jack.
But also, the only thing I wouldn't agree with Jack, with what Jack just said, is I don't think we're more. What did you say, Jack? We're more likely to win with Bergwijn. What did you say at the end? Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair either.
Without the context of squad morale, we have a better chance, I think, of winning if you did play Bergwijn instead of Lucas.
But it depends what Bergwijn turns up, right? He's been here 2.5 years and he scored 6 goals. Like it's not like Steven Bergwijn's like Gareth Bale last year when he starts and he's going to probably score. It's Steven Bergwijn. He scored 2 handfuls of goals in 2.5 years. I wouldn't say, oh yeah, if we play Bergwijn, we're 100% more better to win. I don't think I could be that confident because we know that Lucas can do stuff.
Also, I just like we say, he does have the desire to play, but does he? Because he knows what he has to do to play, but he won't do it.
Lucas,
so how much of a desire does he have to play? It's all well and good. I want to play, but he doesn't do what's necessary to play. I mean, I could sit there and say, I want to have a go on the Kardashian sisters. But unless I go and make that happen, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? You've got to be able to wine, dine them. You've got to be able to bring them out, spend money. And if you don't do that, you're not going to be able to do it. But I can say it all I want, but actions prove louder than words.
At least, Dave, let's at least give it a crack. Let's get on a ticket, go to Los Angeles, and let's see what happens when we get there. Okay? We haven't even tried, Dave. I'll take whichever sister you don't want.
He hasn't even gone to Expedia yet.
I don't know. But look, that's my feeling on it. He knows what he has to do. The blueprint is there. Conte, he knows what he has to do to get in the team, and he just won't go and do it. So how much does he actually really want to play? He may want to play somewhere else, but I don't know how much he really wants to play at Tottenham. But look, we'll get score predictions, let people plug their channels, and then we are going to end off, guys. It's been an absolute brilliant preview. Good laughter, I hope. Good discussions. And hopefully we do see everybody back here for the watch along tomorrow. But the bottom dude says Kulu contributes massively defensively as well. And hence Moura come on as he keeps running around. Conte doesn't like Bergwijn's work rate. I mean, does anybody think that maybe Bergwijn's work rate has something to do with it?
I certainly think Moura works harder than Bergwijn defensively, for sure. Yeah.
I agree.
So, and Kulu and the bottom dude is right entirely that Kulu does absolutely contribute to the defensive requirements asked of him, especially given that he's got Emerson behind him. So, I agree 100% with
I think where the bottom dude is coming from, because wasn't he the one that brought up about Bergwijn not tracking back for that goal against Leicester, I think. So I think that's where the bottom dude is coming from, Jack.
No, he actually is. And to be fair, a lot of Spurs players, despite us thinking that the blame should have been probably laid elsewhere, a lot of Spurs players, Dave, were pointing towards Bergwijn, and Conte was also pointing towards Bergwijn on that goal. They were very upset with him, clearly. I've actually believed that. I believe that to bottom two. I've often heard people say that Bergwijn, works extremely hard, has a really good work rate. I think it's inconsistent, to be honest, because I've seen games where he's barely been asked, to do any sort of work rate. And then there are games where I do see him working quite hard. It's not like we're talking Tanguy levels, or anything. It's not that bad, but it's not really. I think it often was a bit overhyped, his work rate, or a bit, over analyzed, or whatever the right word is, bottom dude. I see where you're coming from, and I think you're right.
Big up the Bolton Dude. And the Bolton Dude channel member, my man.
Love this.
I want to see the face behind the name. No excuses. Tuesday, be there or be square, my man. I want to see you there, brother. Big yourself up. Grabbing
Really
that channel
appreciate
membership. You got the things you love to see. Dark Sun G says, look at Man United. Apparently, there was a fight in training since they had no manager, since they gave us Conte. So I agree that attitude is a huge factor. Look, it's a massive factor. Look, if you have a negative attitude towards anything you're doing, you're never going to succeed in it ever, because you have no desire to succeed in it. But if you go in with a positive attitude, you have desire to succeed, and you will succeed. Attitude has a lot to do with it. You know, you look at the thing under Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho, like, he's famous for playing players off each other. So-and-so thinks you're shit. And what he hopes for is a reaction. So this day and age, it just brings bitchiness and arguing. And, you know, you just ultimately end up failing. And this is why attitude is key. And that's why I think Conte, it's definitely one of his minimum requirements is good attitude. Do not come to the workplace with a shit attitude. Because if everybody has the right attitude, that's how you develop winning trophies. You're telling me that there's not a good attitude to play under Conte. You don't require a good attitude to play under Klopp, under Guardiola. You know, all the top managers in the world, that's the least they require. Even if anybody to go and sign, even the players that are maybe not playing, the least they desire is a good attitude. Because once you have a good attitude, you'd be surprised how far it will take you, Dark Song G. Big up, brother. Really appreciate the support.
Puts water to the kind of just makes the whole PSG rumors, like Welsh Gal was saying below Dark Sun G super chat, you know, saying, look at PSG, nothing but bad attitudes there. Yep. Makes you then think about the PSG rumors. It's like, if Conte really does value attitude that much, why on earth would he go to PSG then? Like, that is just I don't know, Dave, that's the Kardashians of football, if you ask me. I mean, that is like a reality show in itself. If
he was going to PSG, I would only assume that they're going to ask him to clear decks and bring in change the attitude around. I presume that's the only reason why he probably would be going. But look, guys, we're going to go around the house, get everybody's score prediction, what's coming up on their channel, plug it, make sure you do well. Over 200 in-house, been over 200 in-house for most of the stream. Absolutely incredible support. So, guys, now's your time to shine. We'll start with James.
Cool, yeah. Thanks for having me on as always, Dave and Jack. It's always an absolute pleasure. I love these pre-game shows. They're always a bit of a laugh, and actually, it was a bit serious between me and Sean today. I hope we're all right, Sean.
I like it.
Might have to give you a little card or something. You know?
Why?
Don't know. I feel like I've upset you a little bit today.
What? No, not at all. What do you mean?
I was only joking around. I
think you missed on
You can't show him off guard. He's looking for his bets for tomorrow.
I actually got bet for up right now. So I figure out what the price is on Sunny to get a hat trick tomorrow. I think there might be a chance.
Love it.
But no, jokes aside, guys. You can find us at Spurs Related, myself, Andre, and various co-hosts, Spurs Related on YouTube. We've done actually 2 vlogs this week. So myself and Alessio went to the game, vlogged that one, and we got Jack Burford, who you guys absolutely love here. He's becoming a little bit of a superstar over here as well. His point of view, and that one's doing much better than mine and Alessio, so we can see who's the better vlogger. But no, guys, check those out. Check out the channel. We've got loads of content coming up, and I'll post match instant reaction tomorrow after the game. Hopefully, you'll be reviewing an absolute belter of a game. And yeah, that's all I've got to say, really. I won't bore you about all the little individual videos, but please do subscribe. We're on the hunt for a K, and we've just hit over 700 today, so we're nearly at a K. The goal was for the end of the season, but 300 in what, 2 weeks? It's a big ask, but let's try anyway.
Harris Army, Irish Hotspur Army,
you know what to do.
Army, Spurs Talk Show Army. We encourage you. Anyone that hasn't, get over there. We helped out Shawnee that final look. Not that he needed it, but we helped him out just that little final push. So let's get over there and try and help out James with what we can, guys. Get over there.
Guys.
One of the most underrated channels on YouTube, in my opinion. Get over there and smash that subscribe button. Let's see the subscriber count go up. Shawnee, what's your score prediction? And I mean, what can people expect to come up on the channel? And, why should they subscribe if they don't know you?
You can find me at Spurs Talk Show. Hashtag all one word. Hashtag never any spaces. And you will find my prediction being changed. I said 2-0, but now I've just looked at a juicy price on Sunny to get 2 tomorrow. and a 3-0 win, and I'm thinking I'm going to go for 3-0. So I think it's going to be 2-0, 3-0, something like that. And why should you subscribe to my channel? I don't know. If you're looking for more Tottenham content that's not already been done by 1,000 other channels, then you'll find my version of it about 24 hours.
Spurs talks alone. Spurs walks alone is the reason to get over there.
Yeah, I got a dog.
At least the plug is unique. The plug is unique, you know.
My dog has got a real attitude problem. She's just come into season, which is why I can't. She's on heat for those in America, which is why I haven't been doing too many Tottenham walks recently with my dog, because she's now untrustworthy. She's arrogant. She's got a swagger.
You had to put him out of a sheep last week.
She keeps telling me it's the 1,000 subs were mainly for her, not for me. If you want to keep building up her confidence as she goes into the second year of her life, then subscribe to Tottenham.
Are we talking about Stephen Bergwine or the dog? Arrogant, problems, you know.
Very similar. Yeah. And on heat. Yeah, that's what you find with Spurs Talk Show.
Everybody, you know, Tottenham walks alone, very therapeutic. You know, get over there, check it out, smash that subscribe button. Look, we're constantly gaining new subscribers here, and all we ask is you show the same love to the panelists. Get over there and subscribe. Jack, what's coming up on the Flat Cap Eurotalk? What's your score prediction?
I didn't give my score predictions. I'll do it after Jack, by the way, because I've messed up.
No, actually, James, you got yours in, because, you know, maybe I might want to, outdo you on yours or something. Maybe I want to one-up you on your score prediction. So let's see what you have. Let's see what you have.
Okay, I'm going.
Maybe I'll raise you.
Okay. You got to raise me then. Okay, got you.
I might.
I've already taken both 2 and 3-0.
You can't
it's
have
not the
two.
first time someone has said
2.
6-0 on this channel. It's not the first time. So, you know, I might not be able to raise you. But let's see what
I'm going 4-0. 4-0. I think we'll start slowly and get a couple for half time. And I think it'll be Son with 2. He'll overtake Salah. I think Kane will get 1. And then my obscure one, because I'm not going with Kane brace, I'm going Son 2, Kane 1, and Davinson Sanchez with a bullet header from a corner.
Nice. He's done it twice this season. He can do it a third time.
I actually can picture that. I can picture that last one happening. You know, Sanchez just human missile through the air, just finishing it like last time. 4-0. It was like me looking at the chips in front of me in the poker. I don't really feel like I can bet that much. So I am going to go 3-0. I'm not going to go as high roller as James is here. 3-0. I went 3-0 last time, though, for the North London Derby, Dave, and that did feel pretty spectacular to get that one spot on. It really did. So I'm going to go 3-0 again. Why not? Seems right, maybe the right type of score line to go for. Nice and easy. But in terms of flat cap, Dave, going to try to get the content out. I'll be honest, you know, been kind of a bit slower lately, catching up on everything over here. Have a bit of time off next week, so I'll see what I can be able to muster up. Everybody do hit the subscribe over there, because there will be plenty of stuff happening this summer. It will be hectic over on that channel this summer. So I would say might as well subscribe now, so you can at least get the seatbelt strapped.
No, there you are, guys. And look, transfer, you know, coming around the corner. You don't know who players are. You're looking for highlight reels. Flat Cap Eurotalk is your go-to place. So, guys, smash that subscribe button. Get over there and smash it. And, guys, like I said, don't forget, let's help Spurs Related get to 1,000. Let's, you know, smash the like on or subscribe on Spurs Talk Show. But, look, I've been your host, David. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed it. You know, I'm going to go with... Fuck it, let's make it 4. I'm going to go 4. I'm going to go Sonny with 2. I'm going to go Big Dog with 2. I don't even need to say who Big Dog is. Everybody knows.
Sanchez with 2. That's a bit brave. Jesus. Okay. Who? Sanchez. What? Wow. Sanchez
with 2. Fuck off, lad.
Harry Kane.
Not that easy. Although, look, from set pieces, you never know. You never know.
I've never heard you tell me. Fuck off, lad. Got him!
But look, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody out there. The views have been insane, over 200 all stream. I want to say a massive thank you for all the financial support as well. You have no idea how much it really does help us, keep us going right through to, hopefully, right through the summer, you know, and just keep producing better and better content. Because what we want to do, you know, where we want to go, it does cost. And hopefully, you know, I know it's a massive help towards it. Guys, I want to see you all back here for the watch along tomorrow. Turn off the commentary. put us on. You know, myself, Jack, and Sean will be here for the watch along. See you all back here at 11:45 a.m. tomorrow. And look, Bob Spur TV is streaming live right now. You know, if anybody's looking for more to carry them on into tonight, get over to Bob Spur TV, guys, and check it out. As always, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, get your comments in underneath. I'm still waiting for someone to do a super thanks. So I would love if someone could do that. I want to see what happens. Maybe you get fireworks, balloons. Who knows? But I want to see what happens. See you all back here tomorrow. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
In Conte we trust.